All righty, let's get it. Got it. Got to hit all the got it's on all the devices here, right? Got it. One, got it. Two, got it. Three times. All righty, y'all. Peaceful greetings. Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Brother Hassan Ghazio Bey here in Morocco in Northwest Mexico. Right? And I'm here with my magnificent bro. And then we're going to introduce our special guest today. Bro, introduce yourself.
Benjamin Bey Islam. How you doing? How you doing, fellas? How you doing?
Happy holy degree, right? Happy Venus degree, guys. You know, just because this is Iloa Ana Il, alrighty, pertaining to the day, pertaining to Venus, alrighty. Get into a little astrology also throughout, you know, guys, throughout the impromptu improv. We'd like to welcome to that's why it's impromptu improv, because I can do things like that and just keep having fun with it, right? Impromptu improv, AstroCivics, MUURCOIN, right, and more. And our special guest, all right, is a brother who he's going to give a story, and we're going to say within the last 6-7 years of really taking nationality and birthright seriously, as I kind of just got my pre-interview bio, you know what I mean, this in my head, so I can remember things, right? All right, this brother is near the Tejas State Republic, right, as they say. So without further ado, this brother has also been instrumental in doing a lot of activities pertaining to nationality and birthrights. However, from my perspective, and today we're going to get clarity on as far as how, because a lot of people how Moors are going to operate in commerce. Well, you want to know how someone's operating in commerce can show evidence of things that they've done. You can, reach out to them. I'm pretty sure once we finish this, I'll get all this information, put it in the description, so you can reach out to him. I'll put a link to his YouTube and everything also. So instead of speaking about him with the pronoun him, without further ado, everyone, let's give a huge round of applause and love welcome to our beloved brother Walter Davis Bey. Yeah!
Islam.
Islam.
Peace, brothers. How's it going?
All is well. And yourself?
Oh yeah, faring well myself. So
indeed.
I'm just to give a brief bio, been part of the movement for at least the last 6 or 7 years, but I really got real serious about 5 or 6 years ago, really teaching after I had spent many years of study and things of that sort, going through my awakening and in the different schools of consciousness. So, I looked into all the different schools of thought, but when it came to truth and remedy, as far as right now, it was always with the Moors,
Yes.
So I found truth everywhere, every school of thought, it is something, that they got going on over there. But the thing is, when it pertains to right now, how we can help our people today, not 1,000 years ago, the Moors had all the answers. And, that really manifested with the death of the brother Mansur Bey. I was given this story earlier, but this was a brother that was part of the Moorish Science Temple, a proclaimed Moor, who was shot in the back by the policy enforcers. And at the time, I was a part of the movement, but I may have just declared on paper, or maybe right around before that time. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look into the dates, but
that's what I was thinking. Was that when I know you was speaking, casually prior to going live? I was like, what's that, 2015, 2016? I'm not sure.
Yes, but I thought it was around the Mike Brown time. But I remember in 2012 being awake and remembering how they were saying, it's the end of the world and this and that, and I was like, no, it's just the Great Awakening, and for my calendar. So.
Absolutely.
In between, around that time and around the time of the incident with that brother, I had been studying into Moorish science in my, elementary stages of things at that time, really going in. And I was expecting really for someone in the Moorish community to step up, or for the family to reach out to him and really take on the court system, the said government, state government, for doing this violation on our brother, and it never really manifested. So it took a while, me going into Facebook and things like that, and trying to figure out exactly what happened. And it was a sad story, but I discovered that the Grand Sheik of the temple told the family to get a lawyer. So as you can figure, justice was never actually served. So that was one of the things that made me realize, for myself, I got to really get in and get serious. So, if something is to happen, I'm on my game, I'm on my square myself personally, not just, depending on someone else, because at the time I was thinking, it was all good, when it's really more, we at war out here.
And so they would like proclaim wars, asking for a lawyer, saying get a lawyer.
Well, yeah, the Grand Sheik that the brother was a part of the temple. His family, they were told by the Grand Sheik to get a lawyer. So even though there were active Moors, proclaimed Moors that were reaching out to the family saying, "Hey, we want to help you out with this," they never took that advice and ran with it. So they never really got the remedy. And actually, sad story, a couple months ago, the policy enforcer actually just got up.
Pardon me, that was the food that I ordered, so I didn't want you thinking I was being rude. They called me back. I was like, "You make sure you want your order." I'm sorry, but get to what you were saying. You were saying that the policy enforcer pertaining to the Mansour Ball Bay ordeal, so to speak, or that tragedy, so to speak, he was gone. He was set free. Basically, he didn't deal with any punishment, so to speak, as you're saying.
Right. He was acquitted of all charges or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly how they put it per se, but there was no justice served for our brother. There was no punishment at all. This guy, maybe had some minor investigation, but he's still free. Probably still retaining paycheck and things of that sort. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, sad story, but it sparked the interest in me to where I knew I have to be on my square for myself.
On a brighter note, right? On a brighter note, you can now take your place amongst the affairs of men, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it didn't even take him, getting off for me to realize what was happening. It just took me seeing that the family took the advice of the Grand Sheik and got a lawyer, and I was like, oh no, that was the last straw for me, and that was what really made me really go in, as I was telling the brother Benjamin.
Indeed. Well, and then continuing, it's like, it was years and years on Facebook. We seen, how you just see people as you're going through your years of maturation, and it's just over time, and going, how we all started RV Bay Publications. I'm a student, pertaining to Morris Heritage and History School. I'm pretty sure, I'm not, did you do the whole 9, get all the documents from RV Bay and all that, got, those 3 documents or whatever, or you went straight into what we're going to get into, because you ended up creating, things for yourself within your jurisdiction to help people immediately around you from how I see it. You know what I mean? But, I'm going to, like I said, ask some questions or whatever, we ask the hard questions or whatever to clear that up. But prior to you actually taking your place in that way, where did you have documentation from other Moors, so to speak, that were providing it? Because that's what our duty is. It's not like, oh, this documentation is better than this documentation. That's not what it is. It's like it's like somebody saying, "Oh, well, you were born over here in the West. Well, you don't have West papers, so you can't use West papers in the East." That's crazy. We're all on the planet. What my question is where was your foundation? I know, like us, is like RV Bay Publications. You know what I mean? Was that for you as well?
Most definitely. The first paperwork that I had, where I put my appellation on any type of paper ever, was the RV Bay documents, and it was a few years in between then and when I actually did it again, to one where I actually filed it and put it on official records and things of that sort. But that one was the RV Bay documentation as well. So yeah, most definitely that was my foundation, and I started off with them and I grew from there. I used that school of thought, for everything that I could find that was good and that was, bringing remedy. But I was one that saw a remedy in other places as well, you know, with other Moors.
All right. All right.
You know,
Yeah. I mean,
and
hey,
being close to them as well. Like, you know, you were able to get, you know, right up next to these brothers and sisters that are really in the RV Bay campus is how I like to put it, you know. The people that worked, you know, with that.
got you. Yeah, because we're all on the East Coast.
Organization, I say.
Well, we're all on the East Coast, so it's not too hard to just in a few hours to all be amongst each other at that time. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I will say that is different. You know, man, which would make you have to do what you had to do within your jurisdiction, how you saw things going there. Whereas, like, so we could say our foundation, we're all, you know, Moors Heritage and History School students. However, you know, when you go to take your place amongst the affairs of men, you may find in your travels, you know, and where you are, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not there, you know what I mean, near the Tejas State Republic. I'm here near the Maryland State Republic, right? And so, yeah, it's like my experience and everything has, you know, formed me to where I am. But that doesn't, you know, excuse me from embracing another brother that I sense sincerity, you know what I mean, exuding from, you know, his core. Despite there has been, and now let's segue to it, seemingly disagreement, because one of the first things that you developed or that I saw from my experience, I'm not saying this is your resume, from my experience from viewing things and demonstrations that were done within social media and things of that nature, different documentations that were coming across to me, different folders shared with me, things of that nature. And I really just saw, because I studied, I was like, okay, this brother is really like, I see Brother Walter is like, okay, this is commerce. However, in commerce, you know, if it was like sex, the condom is all rights reserved. So you got to eat, you got to have these resources or whatever. You're national. However, you got to be national by ex relatione, the transmitting utility. That's the all capital letter name that's assumed to be whatever on the so-called birth certificate instrument, which, you know, you go and do the research on the birth certificate instrument, and it take you, you know, dealing with, you know, Panama Canal and, you know, things of that nature or whatever, you know, go back to 1902, go back to the 1850s or whatever, dealing with London and them wanting to record, you know, England or, you know, Britain or whatever. So then, you know, start looking at that history pertaining to birth certificates or whatever, you know, using that name. So it's like, okay, well, if this is what they're trying to use, this birth certificate, this is why a lot of people are like trapped in a mental prison in commerce. And I'm thinking in viewing your demonstration, what I see your intention is, and you can correct me on this platform today so that I'm clear, that your intention was, you saw that 14th and 15th Amendment practices that Prophet Noble Drew Ali said it's not for us. There was still a way in your operation to see that I'm national like a puppet. I'm a puppeteer, right? And then, you know, this is what's on the birth certificate. So I'm ex relatione to this all capital letter transmitting utility. And what I'm thinking, Brother Walter, you have developed a strategy for yourself and your loved ones within your jurisdiction to be able to provide some sort of remedy, even though, you know, at the end of the day, the people got to be able to comprehend this stuff themselves. You know what I'm saying? So am I correct on that?
Yeah.
May you expound upon the things that I said, even if I missed anything?
Yeah, no, you're correct. And it took years of study for me to really understand basically the concepts to see what was going on, and even what the overall argument was in the Moorish community. So, you know, we spoke about this, you know, in private before, but, you know, the public versus private thing going on. So the birth certificate instrument is a public document, just being in the sense that they consider government to be public, even though, you know, there is a deeper switch in the public and private. So we know it's actually a foreign private corporation, but they consider it public. So just, you know, for, you know, conversation purposes right now, you know, I'm saying, you know, it's a public document, you know, or that's how it's viewed, you know, as a public document. And there are ways to still operate that public document, like you say, extra relation to the document, to get remedy in certain situations. Because the way we operate as Moors, there's nothing that we can't do per se. But what I always say, my famous saying is the difference between getting private remedy and making the news is just your proper process.
Say that again. Say, because every time you say that, it does tickle me, bro. It makes me laugh. Yeah. Say that again.
Yeah, the difference between getting your private remedy is what I say.
Private remedy and making the news, right?
Yeah, the difference between getting your private remedy is basically your proper process. Proper process is the difference between getting private remedy and making the news. That's what it is.
And that's when someone decides to make the decision to operate in commerce the way that you're speaking. So in other words, when someone decides to play Monopoly, they'll be masterful with the objective in the Monopoly jurisdiction. Did I say that correctly?
Right. You have to know the rules of the game, what the pieces are, and how to move them properly. That's what commerce is. That's what Monopoly is. It's a game of commerce. Same thing with the birth certificate. Now you can choose to not play in the game, not do commerce, and that's fine. That's the private side, the organic side. The thing is, you can't mix public and private, So if you're gonna dibble and dabble in commerce, you gotta all the way know what you're doing. You can't just take the stance that you're gonna be organic and stay out of, commerce and be all the way private, but then you going around filing 1099 OIDs trying to get back, 10 times your straw man taxes or something along them lines. If you've already taken this public position that I'm tax exempt and I'm not going to operate in this commercial realm. So that's what it is. That's when you go into the portion where you're mixing public and private. When if you want to do those type of things, go ahead and take the steps in the public side so that when you do operate in commerce, you're operating on the monopoly board properly. There's not like the referee on the sideline saying, no, you can't move like that. Because that's what happens when people make the news. A lot of times they've either skipped a step or ignored a step, didn't know about something going on, and they got caught up. And now, we hear about it a lot of times when it's more is sovereign citizen squats on $1 million mansion.
Right. Right.
I've seen it too many times. And the thing is, my consort, she's state licensed publicly in real estate, has her own broker entity. So in the process of her going through all of that, I was able to not only see what they learned, but to get her to ask questions to her brokers while she was going through her training and all of that to figure out what the proper steps were for adverse possession, allodial title, and things of this sort. And I found out that they really don't know, because when dealing with real estate, they get you into the mortgage, which is usually 15 to 30 year contract. So they're not dealing with adverse possession, and with a allodial title, you have to be free and clear to even get the allodial title. So that once you're into that contract, they're out of the situation. So they don't know what's going on, but they actually do have the resources to show you how to do it. But I had to ask and really, get the procedure kind of on my own, and was like, oh, I see what's going on here, because it's actually in the private is where the allodial title comes from. They can't create an allodial title for you. You create your own allodial title based on their statutory documents. Islam?
All righty. So Islam. So that makes me, because remember, I am taking the non-biased position. So I'm asking the questions, and I'm asking hard questions, and I'm also big on jurisdiction. You guys know me. So even if Brother Walter says something, it sparked something in my mind, y'all probably saw me say, put my hand up a couple times, but pardon my interjection. So now I'm thinking this, okay, you've explained your intention. I'm going to say that for me, you've explained your intention, right? Mm-hmm. Now, in why I'm wearing a fez, why I'm even here, is because at the forefront pertaining to my mind, after being pure heart, being sincere intent, being love, being honor, is Prophet Noble Drew Ali at the forefront pertaining to my mind, right? So when we go back to the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, if we think that's too far back, let's start at Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Now, how do we take the concept that you're bringing? Because this is what I see. I see at the principle of what you're doing, right? However, it's based on the fact due to Inquisition practices now, because the people have so far let go of what is actually their de jure platform. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali has given us an authority by affidavit.
Right. A commercial document.
All right, by affidavit. So in terms pertaining to being in complete harmony with Prophet Noble Drew Ali, how is your strategy utilized where Prophet Noble Drew Ali's the forefront and all these resources are being filtered for the people that are, even if they're not members of a particular temple, so to speak, as far as a brick and mortar institution, they may be within your jurisdiction, different families and different homes. And with that being said, you guys are coming together, maybe doing study groups, and there's this, general remedy through some type of conduited entity, maybe a trust or something. So what in your principle with dealing with commerce has Prophet Noble Drew Ali at the forefront while you're doing what you're doing, so that people don't think it's like a sovereign citizen practice, or you're just trying to do some things just for yourself? Like, is that something you can explain to us? I yield the floor, beloved brother.
Most definitely. And I'll start it off with, one of his oral statements where he said he didn't bring the half, so. Well,
the half hasn't been told. If I told you everything, you go back to sleep.
That's it. So the thing is, he actually practiced commerce more, say, that you can see in paper than actually he told out in his literature. But in the affidavit, our authority, not only is an affidavit a commercial document, we know, if you look at Noble Drew Ali and all the other sheiks on there in the document, their names are in all caps. So it's using it in the same sense of what we would say is a straw man, like as if he was already operating in commerce. So it appears that he knew this information already and was using it when he created the temple, and our authority document for creating the temple. So he already knew about commerce, but I would say that was an ADAP lesson. And the Prophet was, at the time when he started talking to people that were ex-slaves and people, that were direct, children of slaves at that time, people were, not even all the way reading to the level like they are now,
Correct.
So he was dealing with a different crowd than we are now. Yeah, Islam.
All right. Corporate religious affidavit of organization. So, and it has it been rebutted is my question.
Not to my knowledge.
Because because my strategy is what? Because you said it. I didn't even know that you knew it like that, but you said it. What's my strategy? What did you call it, Brother Walter?
Which one?
Minimum. He was like, yo, you be on the minimum contact. I'll be like, oh okay. right mm-hmm. Minimum contact. So usually my mind, me, I immediately go straight to jurisprudence with it. Right. I don't care if they affidavit according to this realm of no, an affidavit means it stands as law. Now it's just like, which realm are we dealing with? Because being national, I'm not consenting to anything really. So it's like, if there's an offer or whatever, it's like, it is what it is. However, I'm thinking like, okay, we need resources, and we have we know the resources are ours because everything comes from the planet. However, we have practices and things where it's like, okay, well, we want a land conveyance so that we can travel wherever we would like to travel, right? And that's what you're talking about right there, where you're saying like, hey, everybody's, appellation is in all caps, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, yes, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science declared adopted as its corporate name, which means it's going to do religious corporate activity because it's a corporation, religious affidavit. So the nationals are held in trust civically via Moorish Holy Temple of Science, and the resources needed, food, clothing, shelter, whatever, is to be conduited through the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's what I see. I can stand corrected, or you can share your. I'm going to always stick to what I see, but I'm just saying, is there something you would like to add your measure, or is this completely how you see it also?
Yeah,
right.
Pretty much.
Now it is.
He just didn't think this is what I'm doing, but when you read the documents as somebody with eyes wide open, like what else can you say about it?
Correct. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science deriving its power and authority. We know power is an illusion. Force is what it is. However, deriving the power and authority, because we're dealing with corporate religious activity, right?
Right.
Power and authority from the great Quran of the great measurer. Maha is great. Mead is measure. So Muhammad is great measurer to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great prophet. So of is a preposition pertaining to the great prophet, pertaining to American Law Institutes. I'm kidding. Ali, right? Ali, right? Because Prophet Noble Ali and himself would be an American law instituting, right?
Mm-hmm.
In America, right? On American soil, right? Here at Northwest of Mexham, the North Gate. All righty. Cosmologically speaking, all right? Forgive me. I think I need some tissue or something, man. Blow my nose. In continuing, though, to appoint and consecrate missionaries of the prophet and to establish the faith, missionaries of the prophet, faith of the great measurer. Prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in flesh. So the missionaries pertaining to the thought of Allah manifested in flesh, and to establish the faith pertaining to great measure in America. And the Moorish Holy Temple of Science adopted as its corporate name the following: Moorish Science Temple of America. Right? Islam. So, yeah, Islam. So, you can refer to what they call Hurd's Revised Statute, right? Chapter 32, 36, where it states, or appointed, or wardens, vestrymen, or whatever name they adopt. And what they adopted was sheiks, which is trustees, right? So with that being said, right, now when it comes to the commerce portion pertaining to the canvas of your mind, Brother Walter, that's your foundation. So when you're moving and you're doing what you're doing, you're always Moorish American finally, because where the business happens is on the micro print line. People think it's a dotted line, but it's usually micro print.
Absolutely.
Especially on like check papers or passports. It says authorized representative, authorized representative, authorized representative, authorized representative. You take your phone, zoom in. It's not a dotted line. It's micro print. So since that's there, 9 times out of 10 in brackets, right? The four corners rule, brackets around that line, that alleged dotted line, the micro print line, putting brackets there. And within that, I'm thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, all rights reserved, of course, on the line. However, above that, all rights reserved, gently mixing it in. Walter Davis Bay, ex relatione, whatever, transmitting utility you're utilizing to be able to secure the principal. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I said that right. So it's like when I say secure the principal, for example, let's say your ex relation for a electricity bill for the lights. They call it electricity bill, but it's a statement, right? So with this statement, you're able to operate in commerce in a way where you can create your own medium of exchange. Did I say that right?
That is possible, but it's more about contract law when you're dealing with what would be considered like a reoccurring bill. That's the difference between the two forms of debt, the debtor versus the debt due. We spoke about this one before, Black's Law Dictionary, debt owed, basically being a contract, can't necessarily discharge a contract, but the debt due being the matured, usually past due over 90 days, debt is the one that qualifies to be discharged. So we're dealing with utilities. You could make an offer, with your own private instrument of any kind, bill of exchange, money orders, things of that sort.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Go ahead. I'm listening.
In that case, is to make that offer at the beginning of the contract for the full satisfaction of the contract versus trying to discharge the monthly amount, because that is trying to jump to the other side of the other status of the debt where it's matured when this debt hasn't matured yet. So you give them a chance basically to process your instrument, and you're not worrying about interruption in service. Because that's where a lot of people go wrong. Like you don't make the news doing that, but they may come and cut your utilities off.
Got you. Keep speaking. I'm gonna bring up a chart. I'm gonna bring up an astro clock while we're going here. Actually, hold on. Let me make sure I can bring up one.
Yeah. No doubt.
But come on, but continue doing your thing, bro.
Yeah. That's just some of the basics in commerce, and I do have a video on YouTube on my channel under my appellation, Walter Davis Bay. You could go and listen to the full breakdown on that conversation. The video is called Discharging Debt versus Paying Bills. And I break those definitions down of the statuses going or pertaining to discharging debt, and how I would, make a different strategy if it was with a utility bill or, reoccurring bill versus something that is already 90 days past due, like things that show up on your credit report. Those things, they can be either disputed or discharged, because a lot of people like to do disputes or the debt validations, and that is a good strategy, but that's based 99% of the people doing that are basing it on the USC, the codes.
Got you. Okay.
But discharge is more based on you're having full faith and credit in your transmitting utility, the straw man, and that being the fulfillment of the promise in HJR 192, where they say you can discharge dollar for dollar. That's pertaining to the straw man having that credit to be able to discharge any public debt to that name. Islam?
Got you, Islam. So is there a way to have full faith and credit being national without doing the 14th and 15th Amendment practices for the birth certificate entity? Yes or no?
Technically, no, because that process is the process of informing them that you are the age of majority and taking control over it. That's the public process set up for doing that. However, you can discharge certain things even if you haven't done these statutory processes. And I started off like that myself.
There you go. All right.
I was on that side too. I didn't want to do none of that. I was against authentication of birth certificate and all of that at first too. And a lot of those commercial processes. Because like I say, I started on the RV-based side too in that camp. And that is the totally private, organic, you want to drop off the map pretty much and live off the land type of thing, in comparison to the opposite commercial side of actually getting in the system and understanding it and utilizing the tools there, to get those remedies. And there's nothing wrong with doing either or, but I started bumping into so many more that I were helping out that would need some of these public remedies. And even though it wasn't something that I wanted to do for myself, I understood this person needs help. And, it's like if someone says they have, a rabid dog biting them on their leg, it's like, kick them, punch them, poke them in the eye, whatever you got to do, get them off. It's that kind of thing.
I got you.
Yeah, and that got me into basically looking for the proper process for doing things in the public, because that was the difference.
So is the proper process warranted, even though the trustees and the public trust are belligerent? So are we looking for proper remedy for criminals so that we won't be as criminalized?
No. That's not what I mean. The thing is, the system is set up for us to have remedy. Because every law, that code, statute they make, and everything that is a violation of natural law, basically, there's a remedy for it in the law. They had to make it like that. So the thing is, it's just finding exactly the way that's written and going about it in that manner. You know, if you're going to be living off the land and not in their system, it really doesn't matter, because you're not going to be dealing with them from day to day. But if you do have to operate in that realm, you know, it's best to know what to do. So then, you know, you don't have a rabid dog, you know, coming out the fence because you're opening up the fence for him. Islam?
Okay, Islam. Okay, I got you. I see. I'm only asking because you know I'm asking based on, you know, because my concept, you guys know, yes, I have and do have success in, you know, just minimum contact. Right. Because I do know in contract law, at the end of the day, you know, it's not really particularly like divergent, where it was like, oh, if you don't go through their obstacles the way that they expect you to go through their obstacles, they're going to kill you, right? Whereas, you know, I know that you're assisting with the rabid dog, whereas you already know that when people really study, because I know you study, however, those that need assistance may not be at certain degrees yet within their comprehension as far as divine and national. They might not be able to enforce the energy around them and for that situation to totally thwart whatever it is. So therefore, as an auxiliary, one can utilize the process in which you're saying you utilize in rabid dog removal. Did I say that right? Did I say that right? I'm serious. I just want to know. Did I say that right?
No, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. What
right?
Because is,
okay, go ahead. Because I'm leading to something with that. But go ahead, do your thing. Because you know what I'm about to go to next.
Yeah. But what I'll say is, even when I say proper process, most of the time is giving notice properly. It's not necessarily jumping through hoops. You know, it's the proper way of putting your nationality on status with this particular entity that you're dealing with most of the time. Islam?
All right, Islam, because we know that because you're thinking so innovatively, I'll say that, you're thinking innovatively for people that, you know, you're thinking, man, they need the assistance, where, you know, the most people that study be like, they're casualties of war. Right? So with that being said, one of your strategies in you producing a nationality card within your jurisdiction, correct?
Right.
It had donned a certain accessory upon it that those that we have learned from you know, Moore's Heritage and History School via RV Bay Publications publicly gave their disapproval pertaining to this accessory added to your the demonstration that you were providing, the documentation. Let me take demonstration off the record. The documentation you have provided to assist those in rabid dog removal, right? In a more efficient way is what the intent I saw, and that accessory was a barcode. Can you give us the origin pertaining to the barcode. Can you, that's one. Can you give us why the mothers we are, and we're still learning from, because I still frequent the website, I still listen to the blog talks, all right?
Right.
Why they were in such disagreement, and the main thing is nationality has nothing to do with commerce. So you're mixing, you're actually selling people back into slavery with a barcode. Can you explain why you are, or because I don't think you are.
Right.
So can you give why you are not selling people back into slavery? Is because let's say you do have this, your remedy really works, and let's say like somebody like my bro is Cujo, but Granchi Cujo Abo out of Canaan Land, right? Supporting in Temple number 5, right? So
good brother.
Shout out to brother Cujo. He's going to be on next Friday, right? So we all know that he's a part of Moors Heritage and History School, also where we learn from. So you're saying that a Grand Sheik such as himself, if there was like the temple, had, even though usually wouldn't the dues take care of anything, the expenses or whatever for that, or whatever, like the electricity or water if that was necessary. However, what you're saying you provide in rabid dog removal that could actually assist. For example, I'm not saying this is what Brother Cujo would do. I'm just saying like how someone from our Moors Heritage and History School that we've learned from and sat at the feet at, we could actually show, hey, look, we're not selling people back into slavery. We're actually doing I'm saying that's what you would say. You know what I'm saying? So could you explain how it could change their heart, maybe if they could see it, or they have totally like, no, that's not it. So, and then that would make me think, okay, so what's their remedy then, so that they're not coming out of their pocket or thinking they have to expound their energy or make product or books and stuff to be able to have so that they can. So it's like, that's where I'm getting at, because that's one of the biggest things when it comes to nationality, and people are like, how am I going to still operate? What they're actually saying is, I still need to eat, have clothing and shelter, and I still like to enjoy other things that I've been socially engineered to enjoy growing up prior to me taking nationality and birthright seriously. Islam?
Islam.
All righty, I yield the floor. You have the floor, brother.
No problem. And I would like to say that a lot of what happened that got them, you could say, upset about it was there was some slander went on with the brother that essentially copied the upgraded remedy. And I'll say that's what I did. I upgraded the remedy slightly, because it's not selling people into slavery. Your nationality does pertain to commerce as far as the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, that was a commercial contract, so, and we have rights under that treaty, like the right to travel. This is one of the things that's in there. So commerce and Moors has always been synonymous. We gave commerce to the Europeans and gave them the right to operate in admiralty jurisdiction. So by really following the international law is what I did, because there are different types of barcodes. And I have a video that really goes into the types of barcodes that they are, but essentially there are 1D and 2D barcodes that are the main ones. So the ones that you find on products that they were trying to say that, I was putting on nationality cards, those are a different type of barcode. The ones for products, those are called UPC. And basically there are a number or code or something like that links up to a database to give them information. All right. These barcodes, the 2D ones that are used for ID cards, and this is for passport cards all over the world, nationality cards all over the world, are called PDF 417 barcodes. And they contain a lot more.
Hold on, you on the flow. So the first one is a UPC barcode, like if I go to get some water or something, and they go beep, that'll be 99 cents.
Exactly. And that's connected to their database.
Got you. And the other one you said is a 2 what? What's the other one? Say it slowly though.
It's a 2D barcode, but the particular type is called a PDF 417 barcode.
PDF 417
Correct.
barcode, which has nothing to do with human trafficking or racketeering. Is that what you're saying for the record?
Correct.
So this particular PDF 417 barcode is only strictly so that if you're at like Walgreens or Target, instead of you having to dictate verbally to them, which there is nothing wrong with that, dictate to them the information for them to have for your non-tax obligated transaction, you have now provided them a means for them to just scan it with their POS scanner. Is that what you're saying?
If they have the correct POS scanner, but I would go further to say it was more invented for like international travel. You know, so passport cards, if you're going, you know, across a border and have your, you know, US, you know, passport card or wherever, and you're handing them that, it would have that same type of barcode. And actually the state IDs have them as well. But it was designed on the international level with the ISO standards, which the ISO standards have standards for, you know, everything from actual products to nationality cards, passports, to anything you can think of, you know, because it's just a commercial identifier between nations.
Okay, stop right there. Keyword, commercial identifier. So it's not necessarily particularly, pardon me, there goes the food. Let me get that food. Let's remember, we're going to table that right there. Commercial, what again? What do you call it? Commercial what?
It's a commercial identifier.
Commercial identifier. It almost sounds just like non-tax obligated status. Hold on.
Right.
Where's my key? Oh.
Be like AN22141. Would that be it?
Oh, the door goes in.
And I'd have to make reference to my video to find the exact ISO number, but it's in there. And these ISO standards, you know, like I say, they're for everything, but this particular one is for nationality card, passport cards. When you look it up,
commercial identifier. Pardon me. All right, commercial identifier. Impromptu improv. You can eat. Do what you do. I'm ready to eat. All right. However, commercial identifier, right? Okay. So that almost sounds like citizenship. It's like commercial identifier, like, is a category, like how, I mean, a categorization.
Right. So
vehicle. It's like, here's like a storage space where you can put things for storage. It's called the commercial identifier bin, I guess, right? However, you're not calling yourself a commercial identity. Whereas when you're national, you're not calling yourself a citizen. Citizenship is the storage bin where you can go. It's like, imagine you're going to like the Lost and Found, and you're like, okay, here's alien, here's alien, here's, you know, serving. Oh, there's that nationality. There's nationality. Great. That doesn't mean that, you know, you're a national citizen. Is just in the bin, the storage bin, or the jurisdiction pertaining to citizenship, the highest one, when categorized within the realm pertaining to citizenship, is national. That doesn't mean that a national is a citizen. It's just that when they're considering citizenship, national is like, oh, okay, yeah, don't, they're not chattel property. Let them go. They're white. They're free white persons. Well, that's what their status is. Where it sounds like commercial identifier is doing the same thing. Is that correct, or am I off?
Kind of. I mean, because it's like a national is a type of citizen, but it's not the lowercase constitutional citizen. It's the uppercase.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
you wouldn't call a national a citizen per se, but technically a national is a type of citizenship. So yeah,
Got you.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Got you. Whereas, what is a type of commercial identifier?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I'm asking. What is a type of commercial identifier? What's that type that makes one not be subject like a 14th Amendment citizen in commerce, as you're saying? What's that commercial identifier? What's that type?
It's the intention behind, you know, the standard and what's being issued. You know, because commerce is always going to flow. So there was just an international consensus, you know, on things over time, you know, and when you look into all of what they call the UN documents and all of these things, all of them speak on going back pertaining to the status of someone. They all go back to the 1928 Pan American Conference, which was the prerequisite to the UN that they have now. And all of them state that people of ancient nationality are essentially diplomats. So that's us, because when they speak on who is of an ancient nationality, it's before like the 1900s. So the Moors. So we are the heads and forefronts in commerce, and they know this. It's in their documents, you know, and that's even pertaining to like the UCC, which is a commercial chamber that, you know, some people embrace and some people, you know, stay away from at all costs. But
why do some people embrace it? Why do some people stay away from it at all costs?
Well, it's just a lack of knowledge. See, there's two different jurisdictions that go on when you're dealing with the UCCs, whether you're doing the UCC, non-UCC filings or things of that sort, that you would be subject to. So there is the statutory side of the UCC that has all the numbering behind it that you hear people talking about, like the AllRights Reserve, UCC 1-308, without prejudice and all of these other, you know, they all have their different numbers, and I'm real bad with numbers and quoting these things out by their address. But the higher jurisdiction that the UCC itself recognizes in the code is treaty jurisdiction. So if you're a subject to a treaty, then the commercial code would go more by what your native jurisdiction is than the actual UCC code the way it's written out.
So whether the UCCs existed or not, one can still reserve their rights whether they had those codes or not. Correct?
Right. Correct. And actually, it's based on Moorish law, Moorish commercial law, going back to the Code of Hammurabi, which was Babylonian days. So this is all our stuff. You know, admiralty law, commerce, and all of that. Like I say, we just introduced it to the Europeans. You know, they put their little spin on it in the last 100 years or so, but it's still our stuff, and we still have our own rights reserved, you know, by being subject to our treaties and constitutions.
Correct. So like two major treaties we could, or three that we could really think of, me off the top of my head, for the right to travel, to enforce that even further, and studying the J Treaty of 1795 pertaining to our engagement between Moros y Cristianos, right? Moors and Christians, right? That is the Treaty of Amity and Commerce, or Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1787, which is before the J Treaty, obviously, right? And then the treaty between Great Britain and Morocco. I think that one's a one that's great at looking at also. So you're saying that one could utilize the UCC, right, on their documents without filing a UCC one can just use that so that the de facto systems within their tax practices, because most corporations are in contract with the Inquisition Revenue Service, or the IRS, right? The Internal Revenue Service, for those people that don't see it as Inquisition Revenue Services, right? But they have a contract with them in a way, right? Which is, you know, once you reserve your rights on these documents that way, what you're doing is you're, correct me if I'm wrong, preventing it from being able to be a security. So even in an audit, if they go and audit any documents that have all rights reserved on them, they cannot be utilized as a security for them to like get whatever tax breaks or things like that. Am I saying that correctly?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know you personally don't have any UCC filing or anything like that. So outside of you basically giving them a notice that you would be operating in commerce, by you using all rights reserved, like I say, they still recognize that treaty jurisdiction and that commercial jurisdiction. So you're still operating in the tenets of the UCC. You know,
correct,
so
because that's what, as we spoke about a couple of days ago, comity, COMITY, correct?
Correct. So they would recognize it, you know. So just like if you were to create a commercial instrument for something that was a proper debt, you'd be able to discharge it, like I was saying, because you don't necessarily have to have UCC filed or, you know, to do anything to discharge certain debts. But it's a little bit more complicated, you know, when you haven't put them on notice. That's all it really is, you know.
What if you declared and proclaimed your nationality, got your documentation back from Great Seal National Association of Mortgage Affairs, right? And you sent copies pertaining to records corrections, copies of your name correction, judicial notice, and proclamation to 7 or 8 different cabinet branches within the executive branch pertaining to the corporation, the United States of America Corporation, right? You know, Department of Justice, Department of State, because, you know, Department of Justice is, well, really for us, it would be Governance Department, Ordinance Department, and Department of Justice. And for me, Governance Department and Ordinance Department are all within the copyright for me, in my strategy. You know, because when you copyright something, it's being copyrighted and registered, right? So, and when looking at, you know, the footsteps of C.M. Bay, the footprints in the sand that he utilized, and I see that he put out our Zodiac Constitution, right, is filed in the library, it's copyrighted in the Library of Congress, and it's registered also there, and it's also filed with the Department of Justice, right? Which is, again, foundational for us because that's our general and permanent character. Title 22, United States Code, right? United States Code, Title 22, Chapter 2, subsections 141 and 143, right? So now with that being said, in my thinking, I'm just like, all right, cool. That's how we're reserving. This is why we're doing all this rights reserving. Whether we choose to do it, like Brother Walter said, I don't do it. And however, we already know if people decided to do it, most nationals will probably do the non-UCC, right? However, when one is trying to adjudicate upon your life's energy utilizing your trust estate, which is the all capital letter transmitting utility over which you're the only authorized representative, right? In ex relatione status to, right? That's where one might go, okay, this is a rabid fucking dog. no matter what, it's going to try to injure my actual being for a corporate estate on paper.
Right. Well, okay. I would add one thing in that you didn't say, because you mentioned putting the different locations on notice, and I have another list that I use too that's actually longer. That's like 14 places you can put on notice. But I always tell people one main thing besides doing that is filing it on an official public record. I've been saying this for the longest. Get it somewhere on the record where you can at least get a certified copy if needed. Because sending the correspondence to all of these other different locations is sending it privately still, and you still want to declare it before the public also.
Got you.
Dealing with, how the wording in Act 6, to be recognized amongst the government and the nations of the earth or the world, the way it was put. But
can one make a public record via a website or social media?
That's a new thing. I've been seeing people do that. The thing is, when it comes to the internet, initially there was no jurisdiction that the internet was under. So if you remember recently, they just started taxing things that were purchases online in like the last 3 or 4 years or so.
Does that make it law, or does that make it a criminal exercise?
Well, that's not exactly where I was going with it. The thing is, they don't.
I'm so sorry. This spicy mustard's got my eye running, bro. I'm sorry. That's why.
No, it's all good. It's all good. They really don't have a consensus on how to even handle it yet. So they at one point were saying it was outside of the scope of taxability. So anything that you made online, you would get all funds. And now that they're implementing, like, let's say your business is based in, Misnomer, Texas, Tejas, for commercial purposes, they'll implement that tax rate on the purchase. So.
All right. So, yes, it's still an inquisition. However, if people aren't studied, they would just immediately succumb to a voluntary process, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And, that's why, like I said, it's just proper ways of putting them on notice that, you're not paying that shit, if that's your stance and your position on it.
Correct. So it also has me just looking at it and thinking like, I'm thinking like, at the end of the day, these people didn't exist. How they existed or whatever. When the Continental Congress, right? A lot of people would be thinking United States of America or whatever, but the Constitution, from preamble to closing, there's two different entities. The United States ordains and establish a constitution for the United States of America, right?
Right.
So that's something ordaining for something else, right? And establishing for something else, right? So with that being said,
I'd even go as far to say is that was the beginning of the public and the private, or the switching with the Organic Act. I was speaking on that previously with you. Basically, when they outlined the 10 square miles of what they're calling the District of Columbia.
Was that 1871 though? No, that's the Act of Congress, 1871. They was carving. What was they carving? Hold on, man. I'm having a brain fog. Help me out, brothers.
Look,
Help me out.
I'm bad with dates.
All right, let's look it up. Can we look it up?
Let me see.
Stop being before.
So you're saying
I think in
1871?
Yeah, after in 1861 they stopped being de jure under the European Union. In 1871 is when they created the platform. I'm willing to be corrected, but I'm trying to.
Yeah, because that lined up with you going Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition and look up naturalization. It's going to bring up 14th July 1870, and when it's
Whittemore Party.
Whittemore Party.
Yeah, around that time. It was at 1790.
It would be wise for us to double check.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
However, let me think now. What was that? What did I just say? Pardon me. I was really enjoying this. What did I just say?
Before I said Whittemore Party.
1871 Act of Congress. That's where we left off at, right?
Yeah.
I was saying something else. I was making my point somewhere else, though. Because I'm looking at the timeline. Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1787. No, Naturalization Act, where the science lab manifested slaves, falsely called white people. Our Albion sons and daughters began to call themselves white around that time. Naturalization Act, 14th July, 1870. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, brothers.
No, that's correct.
All right, so with that being said, at that point, they started taking on a status that's really not theirs. Yep. A fraud anyway is a fraud anywhere. A fraud anywhere is a fraud everywhere. So despite the fact that we're under occupation, which is the means for the dog to be rabid and bite at people, Brother Walter saying, and in agreement with us even going over the history just briefly in our minds, that even though the history is true, Brother Walter is saying this rabid dog is technically a criminal. And so even though this rabid dog is a criminal and they have all their forms and stuff, as soon as you fill out these rabid dogs forms, right, you're in their jurisdiction. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Not necessarily.
All right, go ahead. I'm open for correction.
All right. And see, this goes into me buying a whole lot of their books, like books on procedure, like Code of Criminal Procedure, Civil Procedure, and things of that sort. So they state in most documents in the forms books, which the form book is what the attorneys or lawyers use for their templates, basically, that when filing most pleadings or things of that sort, you don't have to declare jurisdiction necessarily. And
when filing those claims, say that again. When filing those claims, you're not necessarily in their jurisdiction.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to declare jurisdiction. Like that, it's not always assumed. Is basically what I'm saying. Like I don't have the wording right here in front of me. But the thing is, you can declare your own jurisdiction yourself, is what I'm saying. So you can declare from the beginning when filing anything with them that you're what your status is and where you are. who you're pertaining to.
Which is our judicial notice and proclamation.
Right. And this could be of anybody, you know, of any nationality outside of United States citizen. You know.
Which we are. We are nationals outside of United States citizens. Correct.
And one thing in particular, when like looking into the Code of Criminal and Civil Procedure, I saw, and this was real interesting, and I've never heard any other or anyone else really speaking on this, that on the state level, the criminal procedure and civil procedure, those are part of the supreme law of the land as well, as far as that said corporate state. So they look to their procedure as being pretty much just as in line with the Constitution in these jurisdictions. So,
however, if you come talking straight Constitution, though, sounds like you're saying they're going to be like, no, we reject that, even though our procedures is on it. So if you don't enforce the Constitution within our procedural way, we're not going to even recognize it. However, what I'm saying is that sounds like a specific performance demand, and that sounds like that's against the law too. That sounds like a Bill of Rights 4 violation, as well as a Bill of Rights 1 violation, while at the same time saying that they're constitutional.
Well, not necessarily. It depends on individual situations when dealing with that, because every situation, you know, is different. So it's not necessarily compelled performance, but it's more of just like a standard operating procedure, you know, that. But the thing is, when you're coming from a constitutional standpoint versus this procedural standpoint, it operates a little different too, because in general, when they are dealing with procedure, they're dealing with their codes and statutes. They're not dealing with the Constitution. So the way they're trained to operate is different from the way we operate as Moors, because we know, you know, to be constitutional or the prophet. So it's a little different, you know, and you have a little bit more leeway when you're leaning on the Constitution versus on their codes and statutes.
So are we in agreement that then people are interacting with these people then not out of a joyful voluntary decision? They're dealing with these people under threat, duress, and coercion, or in the Latin, as it says, vico actus. Are we in agreement with that?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And it's because we're an occupied nation for the most part. Most people haven't proclaimed and declared that their nationality, got it on public record, and operating in a way that they've come to the different higher up trustees and established a relationship so where they don't get all the blowback, you know, because what's going on that I see, we did set them up as trustees, and as a trustee, we had the right to say, you know, when our people wake up and come to you in a certain way, you know, bow down, give them their stuff back, you know. So when we come competently to these trustees, whether belligerent or not, there's usually not an issue. But the issue is there's not a collective group of Moors that have all done this on enough or on a large enough level to where we have full territories where they know what's up. So they're still testing Moors, you know, when you proclaim, they're like, okay, is this guy competent or not? Not, he's one of those guys over there. We know not to mess with none of them and any of their people ever, ever, ever. Islam.
Islam.
You know, and when we get to that point, you know, in any one territory, we can put our show on the road and, you know, it'll help, you know, the movement in general. You know, and this is the point that we're trying to work on out here. You know, we know there are some bigger goals and things that we need to be working on as a movement. But that right now, just establishing, you know, a jurisdiction where we're highly recognized and really not with, you know, by the rabid dog, you know, when you're recognized as one of us, then, you know, we can start minding our real business to ourselves, getting our allodial land right and things of that sort. Because we can't have it where we're trying to establish our land and, you know, they're coming trying to pull an eminent domain claim or something and say, and, you know, take us off the land.
Which is funny you say that, because when you declare and proclaim your nationality, you are the one with the eminent domain. You have eminent domain. It's called, I think they call eminent domain in Greek mythology the Midas touch. Whatever, when you're national, whatever you touch is national.
Correct.
That's eminent domain. Wherever you are, it becomes, you can, your whole neighborhood. I mean, that's what Prophet Noble Drew Ali did in our Cycle 7 Holy Quran. Is that chapter 47 or 48? Hold on. I'll show you the eminent domain claim right here, which chapter 47. Here's the eminent domain claim that Prophet Noble Drew Ali made, in which yet another affidavit here, as we can see. You know, this is another affidavit, unrebutted. The Holy Quran, right, for the Moorish Science Temple of America. Well, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science for the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? That's what I have right there. The Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, right? All right, so with that being said, chapter 47, Egypt. Now we know Egypt is mental bondage to sense consciousness, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa, right? Now, I know people are going to be thinking like, well, is that a place? Well, it's really a consciousness within your mind, okay? This is just happening along the way and you regaining your lost estate that can't be told in words. And that estate is your mind. So in regaining your mind, your lost estate. And this is what is put in proclamations. One proclamation, for example, you can check the Chicago, near the Chicago Corporation, Cook County, actually. Go ahead, Islam.
Let me interject real quick too to give, you know, the people that may be listening another reference point to what you just said. As far as Egypt pertaining to a consciousness, you can find that in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary.
Yes, by Charles Fillmore. Absolutely, that is exactly where I'm getting that from.
It speaks on that, and you can look up not just Egypt, Africa, all the lands that they speak on a particular consciousness, and Egypt in particular, I want to say, was the stomach chakra.
Yeah, I think when you go down to Egypt, yes, it's around the solar plexus
area. Right, the solar plexus, right.
I think that is. We had to go and reference that. And usually, you know, I will bring up documents and things like that, but this is impromptu improv, man. We just want to really go over some things, hit some key points. If you bring up the documents, but yes, please, we need to cite them verbally and plant them out there in the universal garden, so to speak. So I appreciate you definitely alley-ooping on that one. So to continue, chapter 47, right? Number one, and like I said, this is what I was going to say. It goes with, because this is what people are quoting in different proclamations. Different mayors are quoting chapter 47. So you can check near the Chicago Corporation, Cook County, actually. I think you can check the Illinois General Assembly, right? Which is a public announcement, right? Everything on a General Assembly is a public announcement. All right, so they have a public announcement titled House Resolution 0689. Is that correct, Brother Benjamin? House Resolution 0689?
Oh, yeah. I'll look it up for you right quick.
Please and thank you. I mean, you can screen share too if you want. You know, don't be shy. You can bring in another slice if you want. You know what I mean? But that's where, you know, people will see that that's what Rahm Emanuel put in 2011. December 22nd, 2011, Rahm Emanuel put in a proclamation, and it's quoting chapter 47. And I'm going to read it. Here we go. The inhabitants of Africa right? Now, metaphysically, right? We should look that up. Are we okay? Are we about to go in, man? Because I want to get the MUURCOIN. You know what I mean? Are we really okay? If we can find the metaphysical, definition for Africa, that would be great. I wouldn't mind us doing that. All right, like maybe I could do it while I'm here, just real quick. Okay, let me see. Let me open a Google Drive real quick. Find the metaphysical Bible dictionary just really quickly. All right. Let's see. Let me just type in MBTA. Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, Charles Fillmore. All right. I know I'm not sharing the screen, guys. I'm just making sure it comes up. It just generates, because I know I have it here. It's just, all right. So Africa, right? Let's see what is Afura, because I know Africarus is in Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, and that kind of gave me some thoughts, right? I'm trying to see, do I remember seeing Africa in Henry and Metaphysical Bible Dictionary? You wouldn't have said it, Brother Walter, so we're going to double check anyway.
Yeah, it may have been a different version too, because I have a few different versions of it. So I remember it speaking on the different lands: Egypt, Africa, Canaan. What's the other ones I mentioned? But speaking on where they are, in the chakra system and consciousness, as well as being physical locations.
Yeah, indeed. Well, definitely not Africa, but we know Africarus was like something basically dealing with like cattle, basically, or oxen or something. So the inhabitants of Africa, and it almost makes me just think, I guess, those that are in the mindset of chattel property sort of kind of, are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old Man Cush and his family are the first descendants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa. Right, so we're getting roots here. So when people talk Africa, really, that's contemporary. Amexem is what where we are.
Indeed.
The dividing of the land between the Father and the Son. The dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest, was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. Number 6, the Moabites. All righty, so that's a Metaphysical Bible Dictionary there. You can get to Moabite. No, you guys got to go study. You guys go to Metaphysical Bible Dictionary and do it. Because we're going to move on. We're not going to draw out this because I want to get some more coin. Seriously.
Yeah, right? We'll be all day going in on the metaphysical.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, like, me, bro.
Yeah. I know Ethiopia is in there for sure.
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm with it. We're going in on it, right? However, I know the point that we're making. We want you to introduce who you are, what it is that you're doing, and what your intentions and ideas for it to assist us in uplifting fallen humanity. Because we all taking our place amongst the affairs of men in some way, shape, or form. All right. So let's continue. 6, the Moabites from the land of Moab, who received their permission from the pharaohs of Egypt. So yeah, you will look up in a Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, Moabites, Moab, Pharaoh, Egypt. To settle and inhabit Northwest Africa, they were the founders and are the true possessors pertaining to the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from Northeast and Southwest Africa across the Great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the Great Earthquake, which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. So that's eminent domain right there. That's an eminent domain claim right there. And an affidavit that hasn't been unrebutted, and mayors are backing them up. All you got to do is Google HR 0689. And you'll see that's what Rahm Emanuel, I mean, whereas the Moorish Americans are, the ancestors, descendants of the ancient Canaanites, you know what I mean? So it's like when you really look at these things with the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, you get out of, negative correspondence to words, because not only do you have etymology to see how to actually decipher and discern the word appropriately, you also have auxiliary documentation around you, such as the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary by Charles Fillmore, so that you'll have a complete comprehension pertaining to consciousness and not some dogmatic practice. All righty? It's about your own individual consciousness. This is the divine side of it all. In order for you to be effective in the national side. So therefore, where, like, for example, I don't have any UCC documents or anything like that. However, I don't necessarily put myself out there in the public that way. However, I allow myself to know what common law is, and I can enforce it to the point where, people can, see that I'm really not playing. I'm not joking. I'm not playing. I didn't just get a document from somebody overnight and thought I could put it in and it'll work. No, it's the spirit of the law is on my dial plate, 25/8. For those of you that only have 24/7 in your days, I have a 25/8 kind of situation. So with that being said, we're seeing an eminent domain claim when pertaining to our nationality already. However, Brother Walter said there's a rabid dog out there that's like, they don't care about that. There's a rabid dog out there operating and occupying, and they're really no more than plastic wrap, aluminum pan holding in our de jour lasagna covered with their de facto plastic wrap. And Brother Walter is just saying, like, they're acting pretty tough and strong, but this is how you rip through the aluminum and the plastic. This is his strategy.
Right. This is what they set up for their people, and anyone else knowing the truth. See, it went from a point of being against Moors to financial to a certain extent too, where they don't even look out for their own people if they're in poverty and they're not into consciousness and the higher levels of things. So the system is attacking anybody that's vulnerable, who's not competent enough to.
Oh man, 100 grand. There you go.
Islam, yeah. So
you just did like the Pee Wee's Playhouse secret word.
Yeah.
Anybody that's a weak mind, like a baby gazelle in the safari.
Exactly. They're taking everybody and anybody out at this point. But the initial beef was with us. But we know this as a people. But it's about us waking up to getting to the point where we can get them up off of us as a group. It's Moors that are here and there getting remedy that I know all over the country. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not like you can just roll and be free like we want to,
especially when the collective platform in doing so, providing remedy collectively, is the Moorish Science Temple of America. If I'm wrong, say I'm wrong, but I see that's what Prophet Noble Drew Ali established. Hey, you guys need remedy. You're not Negro, Black, colored. Come on, you Asiatics in North America, the truth about your nationality and birthrights. You're not Negro, Black, colored, or Ethiopian. Go back to the mindset of your ancient foremothers and forefathers so that you may learn to love instead of hate, so that your days may be long upon the earth land. I'm paraphrasing that statement. However, it's like, hey, man, here it is. We're the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. We're this trust that we're going to be able to administrate guardianship de jurely, so to speak, in a de jure fashion over these people who have to get their brains washed because they've been dirtied with Africa blackness.
That it is beautiful how you just brought it up, because I recently did a post talking about this, but basically slavery in general, or any other thing, is trusteeship. That's what the straw man is. It's under trust, and the only way to get out of trust their trust is by having your own, establishing your own. So like even with the Native American so-called Indians with their reservations and all of that, that is a trustee relationship. And there's even codified public law for so-called citizens to get out of the trusteeship, but it's by making a public declaration. You know, when you're at the age of majority, like it's real simple. You know, like few words added to your nationality declaration type of thing. You know, so as a group, you know, we need to do that. You know, I know Moors that are doing it individually here or there. You know, I've done it, you know, added certain things to my declarations or whatever. But as a group, we need to all get out of that trusteeship and get into our own trusteeship as a group. It could be under the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's the way it's set up, you know, to be that organization and sheiks be the trustees. That's the way it should be. The problem is, you know, the Moorish Science Temple was infiltrated before the Prophet passed for him.
Well, before the members of the temple, when he was there, assassinated him or you know, forced his transitioning. Let's be clear.
Yes, I was being very modest.
Yeah, you were. I mean, not me.
Yeah.
Bro, I ain't going front, bro. I told you, man, meeting Prophet Noble Drew Ali and his literature and see him being their literature, bro, the way I have and the way I, you know, like I said, most people would look at it like, dang, Hassan ain't chased the bag. Oh, he stayed with his peoples. Oh, yo, man, I would much rather put myself through my own bit than to be forced to have to do a bit. And now I'm Muslim all of a sudden, and now I'm with the Moorish side. No, I'm not going to do it that way, especially here near the Baltimore Corporation, where Moorish science is really seen being simply a jail religion. That is not what it is.
No.
That is not how I got it. I got it because I had did a studio session online with a brother, and in conversation, he was like, yo, you sound like you be on this. You on this? You know about Prophet Noble Drew Ali? I said, who's that? He showed me the picture. I said, yo, I remember that picture when I took my Kalima Shahada, when I joined Muhammad's Temple of Islam #1, the destination of Islam, but it was the Khalifa Islam, Emmanuel Abdullah Muhammad, not Farrakhan. Emmanuel Abdullah Muhammad had us pushing Muhammad Speaks, not Final Call. All right, like real talk. All righty, so the newspaper I had in my hand when I was in my 20s with my bean pies and cakes, with the Supreme Oasis, Supreme Bean Pie. There's no more Supreme Oasis down here. They knocked down the building. The only Supreme Oasis they have now is near Shaka Moxon, near the Philly Corporation.
Yeah, however, and the reason you bring that up, because those are just branches off of what was the Moorish Science Temple of America in the first place.
Period. Yes, because Muhammad's Temple of Islam #1, I'm telling you, they brought that picture out of Prophet Noble Drew Ali when I took my Kalima Shahada, and said, after I took my Kalima Shahada, and it was like, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad honored Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and so do we. And I was like, okay, assalamu alaikum. All right, assalamu alaikum. And that was basically it. You know what I'm saying? Like at the, you know what I mean, filling out my Kalima Shahada, and you know what I mean, saying what I need to say as far as that jurisdiction or whatever. You know what I mean? And that was an extra relatione there, actually, when you think about it then, you know what I mean? Because you get the Xing of the cognomen. However, you know, I've graduated from it, actually. Because even when you interact with certain brothers that are, because I said there are two different jurisdictions. Like I said, Muhammad's Temple of Islam #1 had Muhammad Speaks, where the Muhammad's Mosque has Final Call. The temple is where you go to study. Mosque is where you go worship. Now, ultimately, though, I know when I would go to a restaurant up here, really against my will, it's just that when I used to go, you know what, I'm desperate, I'm going to go binge, I want a bean pie. So I would go and get this subpar bean pie around a corner of these people that are with, you know, the Farrakhan Mosque. And even I noticed in their product, it's just the food at Supreme Oasis tasted better. The pie was better. It looked different. The care that they took, is just like you can see the difference. Long story short, not knocking, you know, those with Muhammad's Mosque. However, what I actually realized though, bro, is like, spirit is everything. Spirit is really, 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 really everything. So the point I'm making in all of that is, when it really comes to speaking about where we are and things that we've done, and as far as extra latione and here and there, joining this there, joining that there, what I actually realized is it is all connected. It really is. It's just so that, you know, for some reason, Wallace Ford, who is termed as a law in the flesh, the most Master Wali Farad Muhammad, right? For some reason, him and Elijah Pooh Bey, termed the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, decided to have a so-called black man organization called the Nation of Islam, or whatever, as far as it being, we know what it was before. We know what it was and the different things and things before that, because everything came from Moorish Holy Temple of Science, right? However, the downplay is real because of the fact that that's not a de jure organization either. It's housing people that when they see someone with the fez on, and it's the point I'm making about I can tell I graduated, when they see a fez on and they ask you, yeah, brother, assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Yeah, man, you a Moor? Brother Hassan Ghazi Obey. Oh, man, how you get your bay? When I heard that language, it's like, oh my God, they must think like you have to like one day get, you know, on a special shopping spree where you go pick out your appellations and, you know, oh yeah, down aisle 7 here, we got, you know, free national appellations, and you can pick out your L or Bay as you choose. You know, we got all capital L's, we got lowercase, we got capital B's with just a capital B and lowercase E. Like, is that how you look at it? How'd you get it? Oh, well, you know, one day I was pouring a box of cereal and look, at the bottom of it was my nationality. You know, it was my title to my nationality. Like, it was one of the prizes in a cereal box. You know,
they don't
like
have the birthright concept.
Say that again.
They don't have the birthright concept when it comes to their appellation.
Yet it's like a nation, though.
Yeah.
Culture is in the language, bro. Like that's why I don't really think I have to do anything. I think I can pick people's things apart, and I don't want to. But we're here to help people improve if they want it. You know, if they really want it. So anyhowser, let's move forward. I'll check all those text messages. I have a lot of post-production work to do. I have to do a thumbnail for our weather report Wednesday. I'm gonna do the thumbnail for this one. You know, I have emails to send out, right? All that, man. I'm just doing a lot of work. We did a lot of work last night also. And just making sure we're just, you know, continuing to be active, man. And that's where the planets are right now. So let's just move forward and not being too verbose, right? MUURCOIN, right? So Brother Walter has dealt with, as you guys can see, he's declared to claim his nationality. He's a student pertaining to Moorish Heritage and History School. He saw within the own dictates of his soul that it called upon him to really go and study the commerce portion, and in a way where it doesn't, you know, most people think, oh, when they do the authenticating the birth certificate, it's only a matter of time that, you know, they're going to be, you know, telling people that they don't have a right later in their birthright because they willingly authenticated a fraud that they didn't generate, they didn't originate, and now you're, you know, accomplice to human trafficking and racketeering because blah, 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 blah. Again, it sounds like Brother Walter is saying he's done the steps necessary that even when getting the rabid dog off of people, what he's also doing and saying also is it won't come back to him where it's like, or come back on the people where it's like, yeah, you got this rabid dog off of you, but you didn't get the rabid dog off you like we think, so you participated in animal cruelty. That we'll give that the equivalent of human trafficking and racketeering, right? So with that being said, it's like this presentation is to give Brother Walter the floor, so to speak, to give his intention behind how he's been acting. Can I say that? The reason why I'm saying acting, because that's what we're doing. We're doing good faith acts, good faith-based acts, right? The body is the actor, but the man is not the body. The mind is not the body. All right. Now, I'm not saying acting in the negative sense, right? Because when you're trustees, right? Because even if the fiduciaries of public trust do things that are not in good faith, according, correct me if I'm wrong, but according to the Secretary of State and the Attorney General. According to the Attorney General, actually, if I'm not mistaken, we went over this, Brother Walter. According to the Attorney General, they would be considered bad actors or actors in bad faith. That's actually a commerce term, correct? Am I saying that properly?
Yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely correct. And just to speak on what you were saying about authentication and my stance on it, basically, I even have this on a video where I think they could change or should change the name of that process, because when you look into what the definition of authentication is versus what's going on in that actual process, it doesn't add up, because it's not making the document authentic per se, but you're becoming a custodian over the document and giving you full faith and credit in the document. If it's a financial document, and the financial definition of full faith and credit basically being that the government backs the principal and interest or debt of the lower entity or lower government entity, basically. So
hold on. You said government and you said government entities. Let me see if I can give my denotation to that. When you're saying that, you're really saying the IMF, International Monetary Fund, feigning as or doing business as the United States Treasury. Did I say that right?
In what context?
Because you're saying that with the authentication of the birth certificate and everything like that, you were saying is for the but we know they're not a government; they're a service corporation. So, so within their service corporation, since things are commerce, and this is leading to, because I know what you're leading to, the goal is House Joint Resolution 192, discharge all things dollar for dollar, correct?
Right.
Full faith and credit, right? So that deals with the Treasury, right? United States Treasury Department, right? Which exists in name only. Which exists in name only, which means it's a costume covering up or a mask. Like this is the United States Treasury Department mask. But who's behind the mask? International Monetary Fund. I knew it was you. All righty, Scooby-Doo, let's go. Type thing, right? Am I correct? Or am I off?
No, more or less. I mean, to say who's behind what particular entity, I'm not going into a map of that now. But
all right.
As far as the Treasury, being the company that's supposed to honor your full faith and credit, that's correct.
Islam.
All righty. Gold was taken out of circulation. They said we're supposed to discharge the debt of the people. Well, the Treasury was the ones that were put as trustees to say, okay, we're going to clear this. They're the ones that handle that. So you're just
go ahead, I'm listening.
To be able to do that, you just have to be of age of majority. A minor can't operate in commerce and do these things, that a competent person does. So that's really all it is you're informing them, that you're competent and you need to be able to access that credit now. But they call the process authentication, which is misleading.
So it shouldn't be called a birth certificate authentication process. It should be called a credit access process. Well, okay. Is that what you're saying?
Well, okay, let me qualify this, because you can authenticate any document that has been notarized. So the birth certificate has been notarized, so it gets those legal implications. But technically, you can authenticate, let's say, your nationality affidavit, because when you go through the process, it does have that commercial aspect of it with the full faith and credit, how I broke down with the discharge, but it also makes the document according to Rule 44 of Federal Procedure, and they put this on a certificate. It makes that document admissible in court or in any court.
So hold on. So someone could have a baptismal record. They were never born in a hospital. They could have a baptismal record. And for them to possibly operate in commerce, because they'll be obviously in trust or whatever, one could use or put together a trust certificate instrument, right? Such as a baptismal record, use the trust seal, and then according to notice to eleemosynary, get a seal from the Secretary of State or someone deputized thereunder, and then that can be authenticated. That's what it sounds like you're saying. I'll put my seal
Absolutely
on someone's baptismal record that's based on their astrology, right? There's my seal. Then they go to, let's say here near the Maryland State Republic, they go to the Secretary of State to get, boom, notarized. Now they can move forward in getting what they call, I think, the apostille or whatever the case may be. Correct me if I'm using the wrong terminology.
No, that's correct. They term it apostille or authentication based on what jurisdiction or what country that you're saying you're going to need to use the document in. So they're not really looking to check what you're doing with the document, but they're asking, are you trying to use this document in any other country or jurisdiction that is basically domestic to us because of their international agreements with the Hague Convention or treaty?
So that's why most, not we, because let me just be straight, but I'm saying in general, a non-Hague, right? A non-Hague country. That means a country that's not a part of the Hague Convention.
Yeah, they haven't signed on to that particular treaty, this international treaty that most of the countries have signed on to now. So, like dealing with how we were talking about the United Nations, every country in the UN basically signed on to that Hague Convention. That's the treaty that they have amongst each other, that they're operating almost as one. And the jurisdictions, even though they're technically supposed to be international, they have comity with each other.
Which means they're going to respect one another's practice. They're going to give each other reciprocity type of.
Right. Yeah. So you would only need an apostille, let's say, if you were trying to take, let's say, your diploma from Harvard out here and go to Oxford in so-called England. That you would get that apostille because they're in that same type of jurisdiction. So they're going to recognize
because you would want the one institution's credits to be applied or utilized when you go to another institution instead of having to start all over again and build those credits up.
Exactly. And those credits could be, through university credits, or this could be a bond where these are financial credits.
All righty.
That's why I say the name of the process that they call authentication is very misleading, because when you really know what's going on, it's so much more than just confirming that a document is authentic. That's not really what's going on. There's these other things that are going on in the background, but it wasn't until I really did my due diligence and study into the process that I realized that, because I was against it at first when I heard authentication and saw certain.
Well, we come out the same school, of course. We all learned that,
exactly. So it was people doing videos on what they thought authentication was just based on the Black's Law definition, but that's not procedurally what authentication is, or the process of it is. So it doesn't match up. And if you don't look past just what the name is, you won't catch it.
Correct. Because instead of getting caught up in the cover of the book, you're saying that when you actually read the book itself, you're really just simply, even like I said, let's take it back to the baptismal record, which predates the birth certificate instrument and is enforceable on the DS Form 11, which is for if people want to get a passport, if they decide to do that. So you have this baptismal record and family Bible type record, right? And now you have your family seal on it. That's seal number 1. Notice to eleemosynary. Now you go to a notary public deputized under the Secretary of State, or go to the Secretary of State themselves and now you're getting their notarized seal, that seal number 2 after the first seal, and probably the seal even before the family seal will be a thumbprint, read write thumbprint. And then after that, now you can move forward in getting the apostille, because now you would have an instrument to utilize if needed, as Brother Walter is saying, for your commercial identity. Did I do that properly?
Yeah, that's correct. You can use it for commercial identity or for court record purposes as well. So, like you're saying, with a baptismal record, if you were to get it notarized and authenticated all the way up, at that point, you could utilize that instead of, say, a birth certificate. And if you had to use that, let's say, in a criminal defense of yourself, since it's authenticated with the seal of the United States of America and all the subordinate seals, that said court would have to take that as truth and fact.
Because therefore you would then be a state element, and if you were to be obtained, as soon as the Secretary of State is on notice of that, it's like you got to release them, or somebody is supposed to make that call, correct?
Correct. And I mean, this same process can be utilized with your nationality affidavit, if you wanted to. So that it's admissible as a record in their courts as well. And, that can be done on a couple of different levels as well, because I recently did it on the county level, which in certain counties, they'll call it authentication, just like with the birth certificate, because some jurisdictions you have to get the birth certificate authenticated on the county level first. But another name they use for it is exemplification. But basically on the county level, anything that is notarized, they take it before the county clerk and the county judge and have them sign off on it as well. And they put a certificate with it, like they do with the state level and national level authentication. And you're able to use that also, like, let's say you wanted to, instead of doing a court ordered name change, you could do that with your nationality affidavit and take it to state DPS or Social Security, passport, and all these places, and they'll accept that because it has that judge's signature on it, even though it's your nationality affidavit and truth on paperwork. You just initially bridge your private into the public.
Right, by providing a notice of eleemosynary first with our own seal, then the notary seal, and then the apostille.
Right.
Provided if someone chooses to use that strategy.
Exactly.
We're not saying that's the end all be all, that's the gospel, that's the one way. Because people have gotten strategies by simply just writing a letter like, you've made a mistake, and I'm sure that this is the law, this is the law, this is the law. Correct your records, and then they'll go, you know what? You're exactly correct. You don't have to do this. Our apologies. We good, G? All right, peace out.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. The thing is, and one of the biggest pet peeves that I have is people make it out to where what we call status correction, proclaiming your nationality and taking all these steps, as if it's a cookie cutter process, when it's really custom to everyone's individual situation. And people that deal with me and go through our service and take consultations from me, that's really what I break down and show them, because there are ways of correcting your status publicly and privately. So it's more about what you're doing, how you want to operate as a Moor. And we're not all in the same situations when we wake up as well. So some people are a little bit further into the system, into the matrix than others. So in order to still operate in commerce, but still have their national status, they might have to take steps that me and you are unwilling to take, like doing a court order name change or something. If that's what it takes to change, like, their public records. Like, let's say someone was to wake up that is state licensed insurance or real estate or a lawyer, you can do that and change your name and nationality. But the thing is, because you're operating in a certain form of public commerce, you would have to take certain steps that nationals outside of that area wouldn't have to necessarily take, because you're trying to operate or continue to operate in a certain trusteeship in the public doing commerce.
So that means, well, I know you said change, and we know no one can change their nationality, but what you're saying is when operating like that, someone could
nationality. But yeah, Islam.
Someone could declare another nationality in that sense, is what you're saying. It's just like it's kind of in harmony with the United Nations Declarations of the Rights of the Child, 1959, where it says a child has the right to a name and nationality. So it also saying that, what it's not saying that you're changing your nationality. What it's saying is you have the right to declare, proclaim your nationality out of statelessness. When you're coming out the mindset pertaining to statelessness, then you can declare and proclaim your nationality. I yield the floor, Brother Walter, because on that portion, if you're complete, because we're talking about commerce, so people are thinking about, so money. Well, money is moneta, which is either gold, silver, or copper, right? And currency or Federal Reserve notes or paper currency is not money. It is a claims check conceptually to money, right? Hey, I got this coupon to redeem, this. That's what the fiat currency is. It's a coupon to redeem actual metal.
I'll say that depends on the jurisdiction. Constitutionally, you can say that that's correct. But, since I know we're getting into the subject of cryptocurrency and MUURCOIN and all of that there, I'll extend it out to say that I want to say it was El Salvador made Bitcoin. Also, part of their legal tender of money out there in their jurisdiction. So it depends on what jurisdiction you're operating under by how you define money. So, Moors at other times have used, different precious metals, salts, or spices, and different things, as mediums of exchange. So it's more about what we agree to, but, in the general sense of where most people are living and how we're operating, under the United States Constitution and us being in treaty with that, yes, it's, gold, silver, precious metals, things of that sort, or more money.
All right, Islam, because the Federal Reserve note is actually a claims check to the actual silver or gold certificate, which is an actual claims check to the actual silver or gold. So it's like it's twice removed from the gold when you're talking a Federal Reserve note. But there's a third removal now. The third removal is the math-based currency termed cryptocurrency. However, Brother Walter, being very generous and kind and making a donation to 7HealStar in the form of MUURCOIN, and we are very thankful. However, we got to, learn more and get it out there to the people, because like you said, how people near the El Salvador Republic are able to utilize this so-called cryptocurrency, math-based currency, as a medium of exchange amongst themselves. And it's obviously enough people in agreement that it appears that there's a whole republic utilizing it, whereas that same awareness would have to be brought here pertaining to MUURCOIN to those that are declared and proclaimed nationals, or people say that they're actually on a path to really, being themselves based on what Prophet Noble Drew Ali has brought. So that's the actual centerpiece to this actual impromptu improv presentation. Because I want you to go in on that, bro, because I have like hot wallets and stuff and cold wallets and things, and thinking how can we leverage this to have land and stuff, because it's a generous amount. And I do watch how, it goes up and down, and sometimes, it's like, oh snap, I'm actually a millionaire on paper. That's bananas. But I don't get into that. I don't really get into that. I just watch it go, hey, man, no, it's not a million. Hey, it's a million. No, it's not a million. But I'll be like, how can we leverage this though for our people? Because I'm not into like, I'm not about to go pop any tags. I'm not going to go, do anything like that. I mean, if it's a tag of food, yeah, maybe. Or a tag off of, a vegetable so I can slice it up and tempura batter and fry it maybe. But other than that though, I'm not about to go out here and get, clothes and, do things like that, because my mindset is really set on land, temple, and school, like at its basis, even if it's like an abandoned school situation or whatever, and we can leverage some finance utilizing that math-based currency, all right, to write a bill of exchange and letter of credit, so that we can be able to have that credit extended, so that we can be able to have people to that we can hire to be able to do the remodeling of abandoned properties and things like that. So that's why I want MUURCOIN being spoken on, because I know that you're going to get into the fact that even though it's math-based currency, or what's termed cryptocurrency, it's based in copper, which kind of makes it de jure at its foundation. So, because it's metal. I just said moneta, gold for the sun, silver for the moon, and copper for Venus. So this is Venus Day. What other day but to talk about MUURCOIN on Venus Day, when it's based in copper, and copper is ruled by Venus. So go in, Brother Walter. What is MUURCOIN? Why do we have so much of it, and how can we leverage it for the people?
All right. Well, first I want to touch on kind of a little bit of definition of cryptocurrency, because you were saying math-based currency. A lot of more.
That's in the cryptocurrency encyclopedia. I did send that to you, right?
You did.
Okay, got you.
And I mean, that's correct. But when you look into crypto itself, the word versus crypt, which we know the death implications of crypt and all of that. A lot of more see that versus crypto, which is more of secret when you look into the etymology, or what I describe as private currency. So MUURCOIN is a private currency that is outside of the jurisdiction of the United States. Now, the blockchain that it is on, XCP, or counterparty, and XCP is the main coin, is backed by copper. So
now you're saying X,
C,
and P as in Paul. Got you. Xavier, correct. Charlie, Paul. Got you.
Correct. So any token based off of that platform which the MUURCOIN is on is backed by copper. So even constitutionally in the United States jurisdiction, MUURCOIN would still be considered de jure money, technically, if it was in the jurisdiction of the United States. Because
if they tried to say you guys are committing fraud, it's cryptocurrency, and you be like, well, actually at its foundation, it's copper. So at its inception, it's de jure and it's moneta. So case dismissed on a frivolous claim. Correct?
That could be part of it.
Okay, I yield.
I hadn't necessarily considered it like that, but the thing is, it's already outside of the jurisdiction of the United States. They haven't really totally come down on regulations for crypto. They're just now starting to. And like with the internet being outside of any particular jurisdiction, crypto started off like that too. So anything that was basically what you could say grandfather or godfathered in before they started the case with XRP or Ripple blockchain, which they started doing the first regulations with that coin in particular, because they sued the Security Exchange Commission, I want to say, is who sued them, or the Department of Justice, one of them. But they were sued, and it was basically to give clarification on crypto, because people have created billions of dollars worth of assets that are in a realm that is untaxable to them, and which is why they hate it, and they trying to do everything they can to get into the game of crypto and create what they call centralized blockchains, which are backed blockchains. So the IMF is in on a lot of these big centralized platforms, and they're soaking up a lot of the coins and tokens that people are making, versus a decentralized platform that is literally person to person. There's no centralized bank in on what's going on. So in a centralized situation, it's like Cash App or one of these other ones where you can buy and sell your Bitcoin instantly and it'll show up in your wallet. You don't actually own the Bitcoin, and you're not doing a on-block transaction is what it's called, you know, in the crypto verse. basically.
Right, because it's kind of public and it's being regulated, sort of kind.
Since they're a bank, what they're doing is they're allowing it to show up in your account, but it's just a ledger transaction. They're holding all the Bitcoin. So Cash App has all the Bitcoin of anybody that's ever bought Bitcoin on that platform. And when you buy it and sell it, they just do the ledger transaction in the background so it'll reflect in your wallet versus someone else's. But it's not
a digital claims
moving.
check. It's a digital claims check. But go ahead,
it's
I'm
not
listening.
physically moving from one wallet to another. That's
only the numbers and the amount is. It's like, this is the amount of credit you have. We have the stockpile, and your portion of this stockpile is this much.
Exactly. That's the difference between a centralized and decentralized blockchain.
So a decentralized blockchain is undermining, because they're saying they're mining coin. And when you check in Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, or you even check the etymology for mine, if you think of it, would be the image of, imagine a depository of gold, like, for example, like Fort Knox. And it's probably impenetrable underground. But the idea is to infiltrate underground and undermine, so you're going on, you're mining under so that you can infiltrate from below or attack the enemy from, but that's the idea. So when you're talking mining, when people are like, how are you mining? It's not like you're going into a quarry and with like a chisel and banging rock, you're not doing that.
That's where the math comes in, is the mining.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's why I said math-based currency, because
and I definitely agree with it.
Yeah, because you're using math to undermine centralized banking. And now centralized bankers are using their strategies to undermine decentralized platforms. Did I say that properly?
No, absolutely. Like when Bitcoin was created, the so-called creator, because no one knows if the guy really exists, but his name was like supposedly Satoshi or something like that, who the Satoshi is like the cent version of what entire Bitcoin is basically. But in the white paper, or what was like basically a prospectus that they do for all cryptos now, that was basically what he was saying, is that he was trying to undermine the banking system and all of this and make them irrelevant. And that was the point of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in the first place, is to take that human hand out that is causing all the issues, because that is where the taxation and inflation and things like that come from, is from people, governments, trustees, whatever you want to say, having their hand in the system as opposed to it being automated.
Correct. So when people start having a stockpile of your things, like when Franklin Delano Roosevelt had put out the Emergency Banking Act, which was really a robbery, a national robbery of everyone's gold. Correct. And now that you have everyone's gold, and now they're taking these claims checks, now you have created a means for Brother Walter to have to get a rabid dog off of people. Did I just bridge a huge gap and fold space and time between 1933 and 2022 right now? Because it sounds like that's where it starts. Once you lose your fucking gold, it's a wrap. You're going to be stuck into this fiat system of trying to figure out how to get the fuck out of feeling like you're a slave, or you're being forced to a specific performance. You're being obligated to perform a specific performance. So now it's like, okay, well, we're tired of this. We're tired of that. That's what I'm saying that people are saying. Okay, so let's decentralize this centralized system of getting our energies off of these batteries called wards of the state, chattel property, who are not declaring and proclaiming their humanity, their nationality. So since they're not doing that, they gave us their gold, because if they would have really kept their gold, they would have kept their gold. But for those of them that gave up their gold, okay, majority gave up their gold. Those that do not give up their gold didn't. So we're gonna make up some arbitrary act of Congress and say we're gonna take your stuff, even though we know that makes us belligerent trustees here at Morocco, but we don't care because most of you don't have your minds. Am I saying this correctly?
kind of all right. I see that part of history just a little bit different, and you know, it's all due to the prophet. You know, see, the thing is, when the United States was recognized by Morocco, there was a loan for, you know, what I've been told, you know, was $1 million in gold. That's the rumor, you know, but it is recognized by George Washington in his letter to the Sultan of Morocco when he was like, hey, I appreciate y'all for recognizing us, but my bad for being behind on them payments.
Basically.
And see, my conjecture on what happened was the prophet, during the 1928 Pan American Conference, he called out the world on that debt.
So he was like, run my coin.
Yes, exactly. And immediately
run my coin, and immediately you owe me in compound interest.
Yes, exactly. So immediately after that, you know, off with his head. And look, since they just said, you know, we owe Morocco all this gold, we're going off the gold standard altogether. Gold is no longer
so hold on. So they took out the profit, they went off the gold standard, and then but before they went off the gold standard completely, they put in place of the profit a substitute, a vicar. In 1929, that's where you got this city, this Vatican city state now.
Yeah. No doubt. I was skipping a little bit through the history, but yes.
No, you're good though. But you made an excellent point about the prophet at the Pan American Conference saying basically, run my coin, you owe me in compound interest. And everybody,
and the world went off the gold standard.
They continue to violate the laws of nature.
I mean, they had no choice. They didn't have the gold. You know, they had been so
they had a choice. Oh no, they had a choice.
Well, the thing is, they didn't have the
ability to pay the debt. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But they had a choice to step the fuck down.
Correct.
And take on 3,000 miles of water.
Right. And instead, what they did was revise the trust agreement without the permission of the beneficiaries.
It still sounds like a crime to me. It does.
No doubt.
It sounds like an international war crime.
Yeah, and they tried to clean it up. And they tried to clean it up after the fact. Yeah.
There's no cleaning it up because we're still discussing it.
Yeah, we caught on.
The people are still trying to figure out if what's owed to us in compound interest is here, there's no need for your rabid dog removal service.
But we need enough
clear on this?
Yep, but we need enough people together to make that claim. See, the thing is, being correct or not, if we're not operating together, the rabid dog syndrome, that's where that comes in. Like,
got you.
The beneficiaries have to collectively like, hey, this is not going right. You know, because just one of us, you know, alone against a police force, you know, let's say, you know, belligerent trustees, we can't really stand, you know.
David always kicks Goliath's ass in my world. But go ahead, I'm listening. I know what you mean. If someone's not fully equipped and they need to be locked in elbows with the group, yes, I know what you mean. However, the Owl of Man, never forget that. Bailiff of Hundreds. Was the Bailiff of Hundreds, right? Hold on, I'm sorry, what you say?
Oh, I was saying not everyone has that same glow.
Exactly. But you know, we're like 100 men. The Bailiff of 100, isn't that in Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition? I have it close. Where if we look that up,
that's correct.
Huh?
I was saying, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, because it's basically saying like we have like, even though it's one of us, we got the power of like 1,000 men. I'm paraphrasing. You know what I mean? A word from us conquers 1,000 men. Just because it's 1,000 men there doesn't mean that our one word doesn't mean shit, which is actually in harmony also with the term in Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, the term spelling, where, you know, intent supersedes spelling. So actually our intent, even Prophet Noble Drew Ali's intent of run me my coin, still supersedes their belligerent trustee actions.
Correct.
Which means it's deal on the table to have these people removed.
Correct. We
it
just
can only be removed if the people studied and know what we know, how we know.
Correct. We just got to step up and claim it now.
So therefore, MUURCOIN, since they didn't want to run Prophet Noble Drew Ali's coin.
Yeah.
Let's do it. MUURCOIN now. We want to be able to, like you said, it's on the blockchain, it's on a counterparty blockchain, XCP, again, Xavier, Charlie, Paul, right? And right now it's basically one XCP, or when you go to check copper, right? Since XCP is based on copper, one XCP, let's say we're going to give hypothetical, right? One XCP, hypothetical, we're going to use round numbers, is like 10 USD, the equivalent of 10 USD, right? One MUURCOIN is the equivalent of 3 XCP. So if one XCP is 10 USD, then that means one MUURCOIN is worth 30.
Correct.
USD. All righty. So MUURCOIN has some value, guys. I'm telling you. It might not be Ethereum and all that other stuff that I'm kind of studying to see just what it is, because I don't participate in the crypto world. I may be studying Forex, but I don't participate in it actually. However, I can, assist my brothers that do participate in it, because thanks to Brother Corey, we were able to come across, some people out there, they have these popular training courses for Forex, and we found the guy who gives the fundamentals for free. You know what I'm saying? So, and he's not hidden. He's on YouTube. It's just funny how you find stuff, man, when you just have your divine in order prior to your national, right? So you come across a few things. However, MUURCOIN, brother, how are we using this to get the credit necessary so that we can make sure people that we hire can feed their families? So, because they're about to remodel our abandoned school buildings and things that we're getting. So instead of, looking to liquidate MUURCOIN into fiat currency, we would like to use that being as a means, as if we had actual silver or gold on us, which I do have silver, using that as a means of exchange via some type of either promissory note or bill of exchange, along with a letter of credit. Hey, there's an abandoned school. It's going to take, maybe only, 50,000 repair, but I still want to put in escrow 300,000, right? Because the escrow account just means this is the kitty we're going to be picking from to do our business. Is that correct?
Right. So you can see MUURCOIN as any MUURCOIN you have as your estate property. So just like with the birth certificate, how people write instruments off of it, bonds and all of that, we're looking to do the same thing with the MUURCOIN. And a lot of it is about being able to speak the language. Like lawyers know the legalese, with definitions coming out of like Black's Law or other law dictionaries. There's a whole financial side of it. There's banking dictionaries. So we basically need to be able to properly articulate what it is that we have in this coin to the people that already operate in finance. So like you say, we can exercise either letters of credit or get loans possibly, things of that sort, using the MUURCOIN as collateral. So that's how we could use it right now, even though it's still in its infancy and people are not quite accepting it as much highly like Bitcoin or some other coin. So as long as you have what the IRS terms, I want to say it's called a transferable digital credit.
Transferable digital credit. Okay, got you.
Right. As long as you have that, and you can show that it has value, then they can accept it now, due to some of the newer rules and how they're operating. But it can be accepted for lawyers, for tax payments, for government payments, and other things of that sort. So we could gift, said, U.S. Treasury, some MUURCOIN. Technically, it's just it hasn't quite been done yet. you know, in the same way people would do with bonds or things of that sort. You know, and the same thing when it comes to using it with banks, we be able to use it as collateral with banks. But the thing is, we have to be able to get them to understand the value in it. Like I say, just because it's a digital transferable credit, it has value according to the IRS and all of that now, the way things are written into code. So it's tangible, but they don't understand it because of the huge learning curve in the financial department. It's weird.
Correct.
Like they should be the ones the most on it, but they're more into the traditional centralized system than the new decentralized blockchain system. There are
Yeah,
only certain ones that got into it, and they kind of got out when China started banning Bitcoin and mining.
well, yet in principle, though, however, they should still consider it like it's gold or silver, and still someone has a gold or silver deposit, and they're writing instruments off of that, whether it's bills of exchange, as it's called, or promissory notes, which is a bill of exchange, another type of bill of exchange, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, hey, okay, boom, here's a bill of exchange. I do have this one dime here because my one silver dime actually kills a billion worth of Federal Reserve notes. Actually, it actually supersedes all that. One freaking silver dime, if you guys really know how to use that. One silver dime, which is the same amount as one constitutional dollar. You go and put a silver dime on a scale, it should be 0.8, if I'm not mistaken. As far as 0.8 grams, if I'm not mistaken, right? Oh no, I mean 0.8 troy ounces. Yeah, 0.8 troy ounces, if I'm not mistaken. I think I said that correctly. However, we should be able to use that, that de jure coin and write, what you need or whatever as collateral. You see what I'm saying? And the bank go, oh yeah, he's got that silver or gold right here with us, so we're going to extend that credit, so here's the banker's acceptance or whatever. But we can do that ourselves because we are the bank, technically. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of setting up on the other end with other institutions a wallet to do so. That's it. Yeah, they just need a freaking wallet to accept our MUURCOIN. That's it. It's not hard. The concept's easy. You know how easy it is? We're talking about it. It sounds like the future is happening right now in our conversation.
Right. And see, all right, one of the issues with it though, since we're talking about accounting in general and dealing with the banks, the blockchain is a different system than the way they operate. So when you go public with a company like IPO public, tradable and stocks and things of that sort, you have to switch from the cash method to the double booking method or the accrual booking method, which is how they're able to accept promissory notes and, in the same day of receiving it, transferred from a liability to an asset and clear their books the same day. So they are paid that same day. So this is why, like, Taj did a whole series on mortgage fraud, and things of that sort, because of this understanding of what's going on. Because when you write the promissory note for a house, let's say that's a financial instrument, and the issue is they get you into a contract to pay it back, and then they don't give you the instrument back in the long run. Once you've given up all your fiat after 30 years, they've sold it off. So it's the same thing in understanding crypto, but crypto works more on the cash method than the accrual method. So it's against the way they do booking. Because in the cash method, it's like what you have in hand versus what the other person has in hand, and you exchange for fair value.
Whereas in the accrual method,
somebody's able to write you a promissory note, another instrument, and then you can clear it on your books that same day, whether they've actually paid you or not.
So it's a deferred payment.
Correct. It's where IOUs came from,
which is what the Federal Reserve note is.
Yeah, exactly. Because since you're not exchanging gold for gold, silver for silver, or things of that sort, you're exchanging your promise or your contract. That's all there is in the way they operate. And they make it so where you can you have to clear your books every single day.
You have to basically, your account has to be at zero by the end of the day.
Correct. They have to balance the book at the end of the day. So
my thing is
of doing that, and still on the back end they get you to agree to pay the fiat through a contract, and then don't give you your instrument back. So you've given them something of value, you've given them fair value back, but then they don't give you your original gift, and that's where the problem comes into. And
can't you request it though? Can't you request the original gift back?
Yes, you absolutely can. But the thing is, they sell mortgages and promissory notes, almost immediately. Like,
so technically, that means you just wrote a promissory note saying you have a certain amount of gold. But if they're selling a promissory note, now it's gone into this chain of sale, and it's like, okay, that means it's possible no one will ever call it. No one will ever go, all right, this IOU says it's worth this much, man. Who is it? All right, let me call them.
Well, the thing is,
yeah, man, I got this promissory note I think you wrote about 10 years ago, man. Can I get that one dime? Can I get that one silver dime? It's like an NFT. Go ahead, I'm listening.
I'll say it like this. According to their law, statutes, or whatever you want to call it, it's illegal for them to sell the debt in the first place.
Because it's novation, right?
You'd have to define novation for me.
Novation is trying to take care of a debt with a debt.
Yeah, you could say that.
So say you owe me one silver coin and I give you an IOU in lieu of that. That's novation.
Yeah.
That's which is what everybody's committing, like when exchanging Federal Reserve notes. It's novation. You can't do that. That's a violation. You can't tender a debt with debt. Tendering a debt with debt is novation.
Yeah. And see, yeah, it's like that, but they're doing it twice.
So they're double criminals. Got you.
Exactly. They're double dipping. You sign the promissory note, let's say for your $250,000 property, and then they get you to agree to pay in fiat this $250,000 again over 30 years. That original promissory note is worth the full $250,000, but they sell that off immediately and then say you still owe them when really they've been paid already. So the debt is cleared. That's what Taj was saying when you say this mortgage fraud. When they sell that debt, you now own that house. You now own that property or whatever. And
within 72 hours.
Yeah, and see, this is what people use, that clean credit is part of the Fair Debt Collection Practices or something like that.
Yes, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, yes.
Same concept. And the thing is, people that get into what they call the secured party stuff, that's all they're learning is this type of accounting.
That we're discussing freely here on Impromptu Improv.
Right. You're just learning how to do it for yourself. Because when you jump into the lane of commerce, you're assumed to know already. And ignorance of the law is no excuse. So that's why people get jammed up when they don't know what they're doing, when they, step out here and incorrectly, maybe, let's say one that's real common is you're trying to clear a debt, discharge a debt, which is supposed to be dollar for dollar. What some people that I've seen have done, or a lot, I'll say, is write it for more and try and get a refund back, which is not dollar for dollar. So this is not what the law says.
That's laundering now.
Exactly. So they're trying to gain a benefit at that point, as opposed to just trying to clear a debt. And see, that becomes minimum contact, you could say.
Okay,
do things like that. And that brings in the claim for jurisdiction and taxation.
Got you. Because now what it sounds like is what you've now done is you've set the platform once again to put yourself in the principal position and them back in the servant position, where now they're doing because you're giving delivery instructions. Did I say that correctly?
I get what you're saying. The way I would put it is, you're asking for more than what was promised, you know, or what was set in stone in the contract.
Demanding. You're
Yeah,
lawfully demanding.
yeah, but
right?
the contract says dollar for dollar, you know, or the public law, you know, dollar for dollar. So anything past
okay,
time out.
Okay, I think I got it now. What you're saying is, instead of people trying to get access by trying to say, if it's you know 30,000, but somebody tries to write it for 35,000, and then it gets it, whatever, you know, happens, or whatever happens, and it's like, yo, where's my refund for that extra 5 if we took care of it? Because people are thinking or hoping that they'll get a check for 5,000 back off of a promissory that note that they wrote out of just concept. So now out of concept, now that I've written in access, now you're the fiduciary responsible in making sure that what comes back to my trust is the excess that I created. However, upon acceptance by that person, shouldn't they then, upon acceptance, technically they should be sending that back? But I'm saying that's still not, we know that's not good faith. That's what you're saying. You're getting to the fact that that's just not good faith, period. It's not a good faith-based practice.
Correct.
So I yield.
Yeah, and that's something, you know, you either see that them make the news if they do it too big, or they'll ghost people. I've seen too, because there's been instances where Moors have done that, got checks back, but then it's technically unlawful to be cashing it, you know? So at that point, you just created some huge taxable event where they charge you for it now, you know, because basically, like you said, you did something in bad faith.
You just can, because you kind of, it was, let me think about it. It's like, okay, it's almost like,
well, it's what they call self-dealing when it comes to debt. You can't create a debt for yourself, you know, like
in the future.
Yeah, in the future, but then clear that debt yourself too.
But it almost sounds like, if I can write something out dollar for dollar and I know it's reoccurring, then I don't need a check. I don't need a check. Just keep applying that amount. Like, let's say if I want to do business for 10 years, and every year a company wants 10,000 a year. So that's 100,000 for a 10-year contract. And they only want to give me a statement every year in the middle of the year for the 10,000 or whatever. And they expect me only to write out for the 10,000. But I go, hey, 100,000, you know, just for right now, and the access, you know, apply to the future. And what if that company bankrupts next year? Is that what you're saying then? Like, could be at the end of the day, Hermes Trismegistus, right? Mercury is the greatest, because this all is nothing but commerce, writing, thinking, short distance travel. You know what I mean? It's all mercurial, bro. But go ahead, I'm listening to you, because I hope I'm not getting off course. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just, my ideas are popping right now.
No, and that can work if they're willing to accept it. The only thing with the reoccurring bills is the definition of debt. The debt due is 90 days past due. That's the only issue. So if they're setting it up where they only invoice you once a year, if it's been over 90 days since the, you know, service was started or whatever it is dealing with utilities, yeah, you could do that if they're willing to accept it. You know, so the negotiation and contract always plays a role.
So that means some people could set up their, not to cut your wisdom, just to add to it. So some people could set up their utility accounts to be balanced every 3 months then. Because you said the accrual method. So why don't we accrue the 90 days worth? So it makes that strategy that much quicker, instead of waiting the 90 days and having 2 months without utilities, right?
Exactly. So that's part of the contract sitting. And see, that's why I always said my strategy, if I'm going to imply it like that, would always be to clear out the entire contract. So that could be a whole year's worth. you know, and then give them the time to process the instrument, you know, and accept it. So at that point, I'm not wondering would they cut off my service at all.
Let's switch the product then for which service is being provided for then, because you just gave the cell phone example. So say someone wants the new 2-year contract, they want the new iPhone 5011, right? 5011 Pro X Max or whatever. And instead of them having $20,000 for that new iPhone, instead of them having $20,000 for it, what you're saying is now we can leverage via an offer to whatever cell phone service company for that 2-year contract, because it's not a debt owed. I mean, it's not a debt due. This is a debt owed, which means it's a contractual and it's for 2 years. So you don't have the burden of, man, I got to reach in my pocket every month. What happens is you have now an offer set up with the CFO of that company, which is the chief financial officer, correct, of that company, where that you can now have this account with them where it's like, you know, I'm supposed to just basically make my own bill of exchange every 3 months or pardon me, let me go back. With this contract, let's say they want $150 a month, which is $1,800 a year. 2-year contract, that's $3,600 for a 2-year contract. $3,600 for a 2-year contract. Now what you're saying, we can write a bill of exchange for $3,600. Boom, now we got a cell phone, ain't got to worry about shit for 2 years. Right? That's it's that simple. I don't think it's hard. That's an easy concept.
That's the strategy that will be best case scenario. You know, the only thing that to consider, you know, besides that is, are they able to accept the instrument? Because like in my video, discharging debt versus paying bills, one of the statuses is the status of who's receiving the instrument and whether that company basically is public. Like I was saying, IPO public.
Because they are accounts receivable.
Right. They're able to process that instrument, clear it on their books and all of that there. The thing is, if you're on the cash method, mom and pop, usually you can't do that. So,
because you didn't set it up ahead of time. You didn't have the writ precede your special appearance in that venue.
Correct. The way they're commercially set up with their accounting, they're not able to accept that type of instrument. Whereas on the accrual method, anything that is a promise written and signed pretty much can be accepted as credit of some sort.
Correct. Absolutely. Man, this is perfect, bro. It's an impromptu improv. I don't know how it transitions into the segments, how it does, bro. I can just feel it. And I think this has been perfect, bro, from like where our foundation is, where we started studying, where there was some controversy and you put in PDF 417 barcode for
I want to go a little bit further into that too, that controversy, because I didn't mention everything, but real quick.
All right.
A lot of that started with another Moore who came out. He basically did something like a copy of our IDs, and then he slandered RV Bay Publications and any other body that didn't have IDs with barcodes.
Wow.
And called what the state called.
I do remember that.
Yeah, the state calls theirs enhanced state ID or enhanced driver's license. He called it that. Yeah, he called his an enhanced driver's license and said everything else was obsolete. So that started a conversation of slander against barcodes on IDs in general. So I'll say the people of RV Bay didn't really do their research because they were just playing self-defense. And I give them their credit on that for not doing the full due diligence into the barcodes, because they were going.
They had a rabid dog on their ankles.
Yeah, exactly. And even in the video that they did first talking about it, Sister Ross Mariah, she said that she didn't think the video that she saw and the other brother were the same person. Basically, my video that she was shown originally versus the other guy who did the slandering, because somebody in the RV Bay camp actually showed her one of my videos months before all of that stuff jumped off. So they had already knew about it. So it wasn't a major issue until dude came out and was like, all y'all nationality cards are obsolete now.
Yo came out and did the hip hop thing in nationality. He was the 50 Cent of nationality cards.
Right. And see, I caught blowback on that too. I caught the blowback on it too, even though I didn't make the comments, because I was the original one, to start that implementation, out here in this territory before we start doing it public for everyone else. Most people thought that RV Bay and them were talking directly to me, when really all of their arguments were going against the other brother and the stuff he was saying, because they hadn't checked out any of my videos and stuff that I had put out on the situation. They were looking at what he said, not versus the research that I had done. And I'm not even sure, to this day, how much they've seen at this point. But that was a real interesting situation, the way it turned out. And I want to put that on the record.
Yeah, it was, bro. It was, because I'm telling you, that's one of those, because people know how I am. People know how you do what you do. But to see us, together, that's when people be like, the fuck is Hassan on? Hold on. What is wrong? Because people have their general opinions, which are no proof of truth. Right?
Right.
So the generalities of man, there's no, they're nothing basically. Because they have no proof of truth. So for me though, and what I've seen and interacting with you and before, brothers that are no longer, within the fold, that we had mutual, interactions with, it's like, all right, I think I actually see what it is overall. And I know just with me, it's like, what I saw was people, getting hemmed up because Prophet Noble Ali said the 14th and 15th Amendment is not for my people. So anything dealing with the 14th and 15th Amendment, I don't even deal with it. Anybody try to adjudicate upon my life's energy trying to do so, I've never filled out anything other than giving a rent, sending it by mail or sending it by fax to the heads, pointing out that I'm not participating. I'm not cooperating. I'm not doing any of those things. So you can get over yourselves. This is the law. Boom, boom, boom. Right. However, what I've also seen was people didn't have the time that I've had to study.
Right.
And had the time that you've had to study. So at the same time, sometimes people need that kind of assistance, because I'm thinking that would have been the original thing that Prophet Noble Ali would have had, established within the Moore Science Temple of America, instead of saying, well, you shouldn't attract that energy to yourself that way. It's like, are we teaching our people about their nationality and birthright so that they can really not have to deal with being under threat, duress, and coercion by corporate agents? You know what I mean? So that's just kind of how I was looking at it, bro. And it's like, for some reason, like, because I know there's some Moors that Moors really rock with, and I've never subscribed to anything that they do. I mean, one of them is one of those Moor Avengers, but I get it. I like history, and I hear it, but you can't talk Black Negro colored around me. You can't talk. You and if you think, oh, you can't tell me how to speak, okay, then I don't belong here, because you don't speak jurisdiction. Culture's in the language, and I'm not going to be an accomplice to fraud. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at. So that's why I'm always kind of how I am with. So let me make sure, the de jure denotation of what you're saying is really this, because I know you don't mean this connotative, de facto stuff that you're saying. So what is the, and that's what we've been doing this conversation, and make sure that, whatever's being done, the national Geppetto is actually ex relatione, the all capital letter transmitting utility, Pinocchio, which is utilized to be able to feed the national Geppetto, so to speak. But and I'm talking about in the sense of just one being the puppet master and the puppet. I'm not speaking in the sense of pedophilia at all, because we already know that real story of Pinocchio is not a real pretty story when you analyze it in that fashion either. But in the sense of, someone being the puppet master and utilizing the puppet in order to feed themselves or take care of themselves and their family, that's trust operation. That's grantor trust operation right there. And really, it's allodial, because the grantor that has the trust is also the beneficiary. So that's allodial. That's what they call a double stock trust in the public trust, which they're not supposed to be doing, your Vatican state vicar people. You're double dipping the chip. You're not even the ones that are allowed to. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not allodial. Allodial means you're both the, you both have beneficial title and legal title, period.
Islam.
So with that being said, any questions, comments, and or suggestions? Is there anything we didn't touch on? I mean, I know I put up the astrology chart just so I can look at it, just so the astrologers can look at it. We didn't really go in on it because Brother Walter, I'm telling you, just like how we had Brother Amazite, and then we're going to have Brother Cujo next cycle on the 25th. And then on the 4th March, we'll have Brother Amazite back for the second time. And I trust we'll have a special guest with us. I'm going to wait till the special guest shows up. And I hope he can just turn his camera on one time and be like, yeah, it's me. And then he can turn his camera back off. Like, yes, I told y'all it was that brother. I told you. Because we've been on the phone with him. Me, you, and Amazon. You know what I'm saying? We've been on the phone with him. And if I'm not mistaken, I thought Brother Corey might have been on the phone too. I don't know. Man, that's Brother Corey. But that was one of those meetings where it was like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, yo, this that kind of meeting, right? Like before people was talking about having MySpace or Napster before there was Facebook, because it's about to be revolutionary. This is a big, because I'm sitting there like, yo, I'm actually the baby in the topic. However, I have a Rolodex, so I can connect people. You see what I'm saying? So by me being able to connect people, you feel me? It's like, dang, my man just did this with the MUURCOIN, and then my brother just did this with the MUURCOIN, and then my brother's over here is doing this with the metaverse. Hey guys, let's get in the conference real quick. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. And man, I ain't gonna front y'all. I was on the phone like, oh, this is gonna be huge. I ain't gonna front y'all. I'm just sitting here like, it's just a matter of time, bro. All we got to do is just be honorable and do the right things. And that's what I really see on the forefront, bro. I really didn't see that. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm going to stay. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. Any other questions, comments, or suggestions? The sun's in Pisces, Brother Walter. So this is your season.
Yeah, I know. That was actually my one comment that I did have, and it was going in a little bit on the astrology part, you know, since we hadn't done too much on it.
Yeah, I'll bring it back up. I'll bring the screen
but
back
I
up.
appreciate you, you know, bringing me on the platform, because one of the things I know about Pisces and my sign dealing with the allegory of the zodiac is we hear the voice of God, but it's said to be only for us, and other people don't listen. And when we do try and tell them, you know, it doesn't really get through. And, you know, we're kind of blessed with the curse of seeing people bump their head over and over.
True. I'll agree.
So, you know, with the sun transitioning into Pisces today, you know, I appreciate you, you know, having me on to be able to not only disseminate the information, but to kind of translate a little bit for somebody that may hear it, but it miss them.
Islam. Yep. 0 degrees Pisces, 12 minutes currently in the 7th house, bro. Yeah.
Islam. That's
Islam. So yeah, man, it's a perfect time, man, because I know it's your season, bro. So with that being said, man, Brother Walter, I really appreciate you coming along to be able to share, because it's funny, because it's dealing with finances, and the type of finance you're talking about is electronic space, and Uranus right here at 11 degrees Taurus, 14 minutes, right? Uranus deals with electronics, sudden change, right? And like I said before, I think I kind of mistaken it, but if I remember properly, Jim Henson was born around 1933 when Uranus was in Taurus last time. You know, he's the creator of Muppets and Monsters, and when Uranus, I think, was let me see, was it squaring it? It was something in the 60s, I think, that position. And then you got like the Cookie Monster and the monsters. So, you know, Uranus and Taurus has this monster thing. You know, shout out to my colleagues that shared that. I was like, that's an interesting perspective. You know, these monster type of beings and energy. So all these people that are going to become cyborgs or having their DNA altered, they're these new genetic monsters, right? And so another part of that, though, is just this, you know, electronic base agriculture, right? So when you're talking agriculture, or you're talking about the land, or you're talking finances, because Taurus deals with finances and your values, most people would, you know, mine the earth, right? So I guess they would go into the earth, they would see minerals and metals and things of that nature. So when you're dealing with that, or you're dealing with finance and value and agriculture, because a lot of people can get their, value from the food that they grow, there's this sudden change and rebellion that's there, or this innovation energy that's there, alrighty, this altruistic humanitarian energy there when it comes to finance and values and agriculture. So for Brother Walter to come on today, it's very telling, and it's amazing also, because if I really look at this, right, Uranus and the sun are about 70 degrees away. Let's see, so 71 degrees away, if I'm not mistaken. So with that being said, that's almost a quintile, which is 72 degrees is a quintile. That's 1/5 of the zodiac, right? So that's that creative relationship there just about. So there's this creative energy and a way for us to be able to relate, right? That 7th house relating the creativity. The sun deals with creativity. However, we're bringing to the full center stage a new way of interacting, right? And especially with Saturn, which rules anciently Aquarius, which Uranus is the co-ruler for. So Uranus is bringing its energy from the 10th house in Taurus to Aquarius, which now Saturn setting here, alrighty, would now be bringing the energy of innovation in relating, or in relationships, or contracting, because 7th house would deal with contract. The opposite of contract is expand. So most people sometimes through contracts expand, just like, when you inhale, you expand your lungs, and when you exhale, they contract, right? So when it comes to bringing this innovation, right, pertaining to the values, right, and the status thereof, because status is 10th house, and where we're headed, what's our destiny pertaining to our status in the future? North Node is your destiny, or the destiny collectively. When it comes to this innovative destiny, or this electronic value destiny, it's really ruling over, or bringing from its status house to the way that we're doing contracting and relating with others, in a way where we're able to be innovatively disciplined in how we are creative in how we contract with others. And that's exactly what we just spoke on, even down to leveraging collateral, writing bills of exchange and letters of credit. Alrighty, which I know it seems like we're giving up jewels and gems. However, guys, if you're not really wrapping your mind around this and really have the spirit of the law on your dial plate, these are just really this was just a mental masturbation conversation for those that really don't comprehend just the concepts, because everything is hypnosis and it's all illusion. It's just a matter of what's your decision, which hypnosis are you choosing to be able to keep people from trying to keep you obligated to offers via tacit acquiescence. All righty. So with that being said, this is beautiful to really see this. Pisces in the 8th house, and it's so interesting. 8th house deals with other people's property. 8th house is second to the 7th. So when it comes to the values of relating or the interaction with others, Jupiter and Neptune are there, making sure they're expanding the institution pertaining to joint finances, right? So with that, I'm going to yield the floor. Any questions, comments, and/or suggestions? Brother Benjamin, did you want to add anything?
Oh no, I'm solid, man. Just soaking up what I didn't know before. We're not trying to master that, but soaking it up.
You're hilarious, bro. But humble as ever, bro. Just meek as ever, bro. That's very strong and courageous of you, as always, Brother Benjamin. My magnificent bros. I appreciate you both. Let me stop this astro clock. Maybe just stop the screen share. Actually, keep the astro clock going. Actually. So with that being said, Brother Walter, thank you for being here with us and allowing us to take that as above energy pertaining to the planets, and we expressed it within these last, I'm guessing maybe we've been on for about 2 or 3 hours, maybe going on 3 hours now. So that's great. I trust people can go back and look at this and be like, whoa. But I know what I have to do. I have to go and do my post-production for Wednesday's presentation and the day's presentation. I'm going to send these emails out so everybody can get going when they get going, and just make sure we just having some fun. I might just send out 2 separate emails tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. You know what I mean? So everybody check out their emails. Hey, if you're subscribed to 7HealStar.com and you're trying to figure out why you don't see the emails, and we're saying we're sending them out every cycle, check your spam. I've noticed that even when I send them to myself, they're going to the spam folder.
Yeah.
So we got to make it so it's not spammy. So just, go and check your spam, please, guys, and remove it. Maybe I'm gonna have to put up a disclaimer for about a moon cycle or two and say, remove all 7HealStar emails from your spam in your Gmail account, because it's some of the most important things you guys can get your hands on. And for them to treat it like it's just from advertisement, it's junk mail. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's the most important email they could possibly get in their lives. Seriously, period. So with that being said, no more questions, comments, and or suggestions, my beloved brothers in whom I'm well pleased. Brother Walter Davis Bay, you are amazing and magnificent, brother. Thank you for your due diligence. Thank you for coming here and being brave, because I told bro, I'm like, I'm going to ask the hard questions. I'm going to ask the questions, because you got two types of Moors out there. Moors or three. Moors that just watching, like, I don't really know, I'm on the fence. And then Moors like, yo, brother Walter, on it. And then you got the Moors, see, I knew he was a dirty Moor. See, he's doing that. And then there's me, the fourth type of Moor, like, and we all supposed to be getting along, like, isn't unity in the law of the state. So that means we need to be kind of like thinking about what it is we're looking at and making sure we're in honor. Isn't it? I thought the foundation was honor. Like, what's wrong here? But anyway, it is what it is. I trust we did some good here, and we're going to do more good when we bring on Grand Sheik Cujo Adwo L next Friday. I know it's supposed to be this Friday, but him and Brother Walter switched because Brother Cujo had to tend to his loved ones today, and that was in my book. That's always amazing. So we'll be back with Brother Cujo Adwo L next Friday for our Impromptu Improv Monday. All right, check out Monday. First of all, check out tomorrow for all the emails I'm gonna send that dealt with Impromptu Improv. Our 7-day Astro Weather Report, and even our Intuition Monday from Monday. Pardon me, Intuition Monday. The 7-day Astro Weather Report and Impromptu Improv. But tomorrow's Saturday, so the main email y'all gonna get first tomorrow, those that are part of the subscription, part of our email list. All right. If you're not, go to 7HealStar.com. All right, subscribe to the email list, and you guys will receive it. Usually I send out emails on Thursdays and Saturdays. From like whatever happened Monday through Wednesday, you get that Thursday one, and then whatever happened Thursday through Saturday. And that's usually we do the Impromptu Improv on Friday. And then I go create, you guys know I go super ham with Astrology Street, so that you can get your little ones to check out the truth pertaining to their nationality and birthright, so that they can begin to fix their socioeconomic issues and assisting you guys by knowing themselves and their father, God, Allah, their process which mother chose to call upon all balanced law pertaining to the zodiac. All right. No questions, comments, and no suggestions. Going once. Going twice. And thrice namaste, my beloved brothers in whom I'm well pleased to you all. Happy Holy Degree, happy Venus Day, Islam, Islam, Islam.
Peace, peace.
Islam, bro.